Sabi.
How's it going, buddy?
Cam.
Yeah,
Cam is also Wiz Khalifa's name.
it is. Cameron Thomas with a Z, right? At the end? I think. It's like Thomas.
I
How do you say it?
don't know Cam. I just know Cam. And it's Cameron. You know Cameron?
Yeah, I don't know that much about him, though. Everybody's always like,
Legendary.
oh, yeah, like Cameron.
He's
Oh,
legendary because he was a battle rapper. Cheers, brother.
cheers, man.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
Harlem. I think all the diplomats are Harlem. I'm pretty sure. I would know if it wasn't Harlem. I would it's possible it could be Philly, but it should be Harlem.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that much about hip-hop. It's, like, very new to me.
I was trying to
I
go.
love it. But I don't know anything about it. I grew up in, like, a town where it's like, no, nobody was listening to hip-hop.
I was trying to learn what city pop is today.
Oh, really?
And
It's kind
it's
of
very instrumental. Like there's not a lot of lyrics.
not a lot, but there's different periods in the city pop like history where it's like was a lot of combinations of like American lyrics
Mm.
mixed with Japanese lyrics to appeal to more of like a broader audience, to appeal to like an American audience.
Yes. They'll throw like a little baby love in there or something like the song I posted today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll have like some short snippet that's like appealing, like disco-y or
You think the purpose of that was to appeal to Americans, or was the purpose of that to seem cool to the Japanese that were listening to it?
well, city pop's like, in my perspective, is very much a reflection of a lot of the American like music culture that was coming out at the time. Um, Japan had a really big boom, economically. They were the ones building all the new, like they had a huge electronics boom. Like they were building these keyboards and things that you like later heard in American songs, but they were taking influence from like early Americana, like 60s, 70s, and then early 80s pop and funk and disco, and like mashing it together with these new instruments that were really only available in Japan at the time.
Whoa. So there were drum machines added in, like the 303 and the 808 and things, or was it more like jazz drums?
That not entirely sure. This
Oh.
is just from my research of like, because it's so hard to like research city pop
Yeah.
and find like really a lot of it's like speculative and things that are like translated from somebody and just one person's perspective of it. But from what I've like gathered and like seeing like the instrument like I mean really like a lot of these beat effects being added later and like different like synth keyboards, like sounds that just
Okay.
weren't in the US yet.
Yeah.
Because they were being developed there.
So cool.
I don't know.
What's
It's
the
fascinating. It's like a mirror of our culture. I think it's like this push pull of and flow of like creative fascination. We had like such a strong relationship with Japan post World War II. And again, it was this it's like that was like our girlfriend. Like that was like our Japan and the US just fell in love with each other. We had like they're the strongest, even today, are one of the strongest like trade relationships is Japan. And like I said, Japan in the 80s had this economic boom. They were on top of the world. They were like the third largest economy in the world. We can fact check that later, but it's like it was in the 80s. Then they had a huge
They're
economic
still up
boom.
there.
Oh yeah, they're still huge. I mean,
I think
but
they
were
still might be number 3.
we'll have to look at it after.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see.
I think it's true. The points you bring up so many interesting ones. One is about how music follows technology.
Right.
I of course think from the hip hop side of things immediately about the legend of the blackout in New York City, which is 78 or so, and how when everything went dark, the story goes that all the music shops got hit, and that through the looting, the block in the Bronx and the blocks in Harlem and the blocks in Brooklyn were able to acquire the drum machines and were able to acquire the turntables and the synthesizers, the SP1200, the keyboard, whatever it was, the speakers,
Right.
to actually start throwing the parties that became hip hop. And that without that technology filtering its way into that community, that sector of society,
Right. They wouldn't
that
have had
there
the tools to
wouldn't
do
have
it.
been hip hop. I also think about house music, about the story of the 303 coming to the Belleville 3 through Juan Atkins, going to Chicago and getting a 303 drum machine from, I think, Frankie Knuckles or somebody.
Right.
I don't know exactly how the story goes, but he brought that tech back to Detroit and used that to kind of create the sound of techno.
Fascinating. I mean, I'm really ignorant on a lot of stuff, musically, honestly.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
But
There was a big part of my life where it's like I didn't care about music.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like I love music. I just I feel like I fell out of love with music for a long time. I was just like it wasn't like making me happy. And I couldn't figure out why. Couldn't figure it out. But I feel like I'm catching up with a lot of things.
It's become such a big part of who you are now.
Yeah, and I have such a neat, like, weird niche that I'm like always chasing these rabbit holes of like things, like shit I can't even find like a lot of information on, and it's like hard to relate to other people. People are like, "Well, how do you not know this?" It's like because I'm busy chasing this other rabbit hole of shit I can't understand.
Yes, you've definitely carved out a niche that's nobody else is doing, right? I mean, in Pittsburgh at least, are there people doing the style of music that you're doing elsewhere?
Probably not so much on vinyl, particularly. It's like a big thing. I want to bring these like relics to Pittsburgh. Like I feel passionate about bringing it out and like figuring out how can I build a soundscape around this sort of like niche, because it was impactful for me because I had lived in Japan for 3 years in Okinawa.
Incredible. I was just about to start talking about Okinawa. So Okinawa is like one of the only parts of Japan that I know anything about, because that's where my mom's younger brother and his family grew up.
Really?
Yeah, he had his family there when he was stationed there from the Marines, and he had, I think, 3 out of his 4 kids in Okinawa, and they all grew up there. And now it factors so large in their personalities. Like one of them has a career involving anime. Another one, you know what I mean? Like,
right. It's just like if everybody takes an impact from
Yes.
something like a cultural exchange like that.
What's the job with the electronics?
Oh, so I work at this place called Hellbender, not Hellbender Vinyl. Hellbender Incorporated in Harmerville, or Harmer. I'm not even sure what it is. Harmerville, up 28, north on 28, just outside of Pittsburgh. It's at the University of Pittsburgh Applied Research Center.
Whoa.
We have a space leased out that we lease, and it's a startup. It's a employee-owned company, so I have, I want to see it do well. They treat me well. I want to see it do well. But I'm a SMT operator, and what that is SMT stands for Surface Mount Technology, and it's an automated machine that I program to look at like hundreds, really thousands on other boards, like hundreds of components like resistors, capacitors, and teach it like what to look for and how to place it on the board. I'm not an engineer. I don't design the board. I'm just a tech. I put it together.
But you're teaching the machines how to build themselves. You're programming the AI to generate more powerful computers so that they can eventually take over the world.
Yep, you nailed it. That's it. I'm trying to replace the DJs with AI. No, but it is really cool. We do use AI, and a lot of it's for like problem solving for companies. I'm not gonna talk. I don't know what all I'm allowed to like really talk about with it. But I can tell you we're a benefit corporation, which we're the only benefit corporation in Pennsylvania that does is building electronics, and our main purpose is to build like solutions for smaller business to help our local economy like compete with larger corporations and things, and give them the tools or like solutions to automate some things and make logistics and things easier for people. We do, I mean, all kinds of different projects and passion projects, but
Other than obviously the fact that both are electronic in some way, involve electronics in some way, other than paying the bills so that you can dedicate yourself to your passion, how does it connect or dovetail with the DJing efforts?
it has been, I think, just like the logical understanding of electronics has really made me think outside the box on a lot of things, and it makes me realize the potential of something, even if I don't know how to do it right off the bat. It makes me realize, oh, there's tools that could help us with this. I can't think of a specific example, but you know what I mean.
You were troubleshooting something recently, something about needing a second amplifier, like a second channel amplifier for a mixer.
Yeah, I have this goal of mine, and it's probably ridiculous, it's probably fruitless, but I feel like with vinyl, um, just from my understanding and from my experiences with vinyl, I kind of went down that like audiophile rabbit hole before and see where like the diminishing returns are with like the money you put in versus what you get back in sound. But one thing I've noticed the biggest improvement on is simplifying electronics circuits, not having like so many damn features in it. Like it's more noise on like an electrical setup.
Yes.
And what I want to do is have external phono preamps, like high end. Like I want the best, because I feel like the phono stage that's the most important. You're taking like a tiny millivolt signal that's coming out of this, stylus that's just a magnet vibrating across a piece of copper and creating an electric. It's just creating the sound wave in an electrical signal form, and it has to be amplified before it gets to the main amplifier. And that step is so important. It needs to be so precise, and it should be clean. And I don't like having a preamp. I don't like having I don't like the idea, just from my knowledge of electronics. I don't care about shielding. I don't care about all that shit. Like, so I want them out. I want them external, and I want them away from one another.
Whoa! So the idea would be to run your turntables into the line inputs.
Yeah, and then I can play on any controller then too.
But you'd also have a separate.
I mean, it's still gonna get.
There'd be two stages. I can.
Yeah,
there is still a few issues. One would be you have to run out of your turntables into some device, and then out of that device into your mixer.
Into that, yeah.
Right.
And maybe have separate power for that.
Exactly, with grounding and power, and it's going to introduce more noise into your system is one thing.
Potentially.
I mean, I do like. There's been some recent discussions about how mixers have different sounds in the DJ community. It was pretty dope, actually. People were like, you can't use a Pioneer mixer for hip hop or something. Like, people were like, it's only good for EDM. I was like, that's patently
bold
insane.
Stage. Yeah, that's a bold thing to say. Like,
right,
no,
right. But the idea that like each mixer has its own sound, I think that's probably true in some sense, right? Because like you're talking about, they have their own type of preamps. I liked, back in the day we used to have these Yuri mixers, which were dope, and of course, like on the really cheap, shitty mixers we used to mix with when we were first coming up, like the Vestax and Newmarks, like those all sounded terrible. Like when I first got my Pioneer, the 500 or whatever, with the internal effects, I remember how clean it sounded, and like it had this professional quality to it, which
you could just feel it.
The preamps, right? That's so dope. I never really, I guess.
And I'm not saying that they're trash in this, and they probably are really, really good. I just want to try something different. Like,
yeah. You want to use my 56? I have a really dope, like battle style mixer back behind me, which I love, which I don't use at all. I've been thinking about how to incorporate it into like a listening setup, because I want to do that. I want to switch to like a controller. If I'm going to be playing on Serato, what's the fucking point of turntables? So stupid. Just have like a little controller I can actually take out, then I can actually start DJing again. And then
what do you use when you're doing Serato on these? Do you use like
control vinyl,
control vinyl DVS stuff? Cool. I've just started like recently playing with that.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I have the phase too, so I can do either one. But like,
which do you prefer?
To me, phase is fucked up. Like, they're both such terrible solutions because the needles jump and like it's not a clean tracking system. And if you have too many people in the room, they bounce it. And when you're doing performances, like I used to DJ for a lot of rappers, and it was just terrible. Like, you'd have to have the turntables swinging from a fucking strap from the ceiling, like at House of Yes, in order to, like, with a floating stage and the floating floor, and everything's fucking floating. And eventually you're like in outer space. You're like, what am I doing?
Have you ever seen those like tension tables? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like they have like
they're
like trip you out. Yep. It's like it wouldn't actually be hanging from the ceiling, but it's like a way that would. I feel like that would be like an awesome. I've always thought about, like, since I had seen those.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, where the chain goes up into the middle, and like they look like it looks like an optical illusion. It's like that's how they have the stages wired at a lot of these clubs, like the very high end clubs. They'll do it like that.
That is like I thought, like, man, it'd be so sick if I could get a portable solution to that. It would be like tough. You couldn't do that probably. That just buy a truck
to engineer that. Yeah, you could probably engineer a collapsible floating DJ platform. Holy shit, that's actually legendary level. But it would take an engineering solution.
My brother's an engineer.
Yeah, that would be really dope.
You can help me out with that one.
That would be sick. And you know what? Like, for what you do, it matters. For what I do, like I said, I want to go to a controller because it solves all those problems, and it doesn't fucking matter. Like, nobody gives a fuck anymore. Nobody cares if I'm scratching. Like, doesn't matter. Plus, you can scratch on the new controllers. Perfect. You're good. The only reason to have turntables anymore is for what you do. Like, if I'm bringing out records.
Right.
And if you're bringing out records, they're gonna jump unless you have that stage isolated from the dance floor. For me, the only reason I've ever wanted to DJ was to make people dance. Like,
that's definitely a big reason why I wanted to do it. I was like, man, I want to make people
make them jump,
off their ass and shake it.
That's it, right? Like, what drove you to decide to try to do this? Where was the impetus?
So I guess the turning point was really with Michael, and I had to say my cousin Joey, Troop. They both. Well, my cousin Joey was putting together this pop festival in Oakland. I don't know if he did it in 2022.
The one on Flagstaff?
No, it was in Oakland, like right
Flagstaff Hill.
Flagstaff. I don't know.
That's Oakland, man.
I'm not from Pittsburgh.
Where are you from, bro?
And I don't hang out in Oakland.
From Japan.
Okinawa.
Okinawa.
Got it.
Got him.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Anyways, but he was putting together this pop festival. Yeah,
was it in the park? Was it in Shenley Park up on the hill? Because I know they had a festival up there. It may have been a different festival.
Must have been a different festival.
Okay.
It was like early spring, April.
Okay.
It was only one time. It was gonna be. I mean, it was killer. It was awesome. But I had been talking with Michael. I was like, dude, I'm gonna DJ, and it was like this, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. It was like, he kind of like had this turning point where I literally told Michael, Palladini, we're talking about, obviously. I told him, maybe I'll start DJing. I have a lot of records. He's like, you should, and that's all it took.
Yes. And what were you doing talking with him? You guys had become friends over living together, or what was the story?
So that was another thing. I had just got a job in Pittsburgh, and I was coming out to see my cousin's band play, Melt, at the government center. And earlier that summer, I'd seen Michael. It was the first time I was outside of my cousin Joey's house, and I'm like in the backyard, and I like made this like blunt out of like a Swisher Sweet. I was like stuffed some weed in, and like started hitting it, and I'm like, I'm getting pretty high, and then I see this guy just roll in the backyard, and like push open the door, and there's like 20 people behind him, and 2 dogs come rolling in too. It's like, what the fuck? Who is this guy? He's like chest hairs like popping out. He's like, hey guys, what's up? And I'm like, who is this guy? And I hadn't seen him. For like, it was like a month later. You know, I'm not living in Pittsburgh at this time. I just got a job, figuring out, okay, where am I gonna live? So I come out to this show and to my cousin's show at Government Center, and Michael's band's playing. I see Michael. I see the guy on the bass. I'm like, that's that fucking dude that came rolling in
Yeah.
at the party. And I'm like, didn't really know him that well at the time. And my cousin Joey said, hey, we're going to go party at Michael's house after the show. And we ended up going to Michael's house. And it was like walking into like this. It was like, it felt like I was in an art thing. Like it felt like it wasn't a real house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
like
it was like, looked like it was staged. Like somebody made this for a movie set. Not that it was like elegant and like beautiful.
Mm.
It was a party house, but it just was like felt like a time warp. There's no TV, just a record player, like old school record player, old solid state amp, like old Technics amp, and everybody's just like chilling in this living room and listening to records. And I remember this one record. We'll be playing it later. I'm gonna pull it up though real quick.
Yeah. Let's do it. You can play it anytime.
This record was on the turntable.
Yes.
Let me make sure that's in the shot. It is. It's in the shot. Split Decision Band. Never heard of them.
Wow.
Till Michael had that shit jamming on the stereo.
That looks like a repress.
It is definitely a repress. I don't know if it was ever actually released though.
It could be the original vinyl pressing.
Yeah, might actually be the original.
Yeah, like they dropped it on tape or something.
We'll look at that later.
Yeah, interesting.
But that was playing, and it was this like funk album. Like it was hitting everything perfect. Like this is you play that one front to back. You don't have to skip anything.
Wow,
it's great. But it was like this dirty, raw funk that I'm like, what the hell is this? I need to know. Like, I see all the records on his wall, and I was like, I got to know this guy. Mm. And we just became friends because we both love records and music.
How many do you guys have? Like, what's
collectively?
Yeah. Like, where's his collection at, and what's yours like now?
His is probably he has to have almost 1,000, I would say, or over 1,000, maybe, or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
He's always good at finding like those deep cuts that are like, you know, under like $10 or $15, or like. I think now he's taking the chance and buying some like, it's like, hey, I gotta buy some of those expensive ones.
Yeah.
The good shit's expensive.
Now that he's getting
good shit's expensive. There's no getting around it. The good stuff's expensive.
Yes.
But he has so many more like deep cut things that were like probably like dollar bin finds, and it's like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I can't believe you have this. This is like, why is this like so good?
Yeah.
Where my taste was always, I guess, a little more refined. You could even see like the difference in our collection. I have like, not that it's even how I take care of my records. He just buys a lot more like beat up, old school, like deep cut, used records. And you just look at the like profile of it. You see the spines are all like tore up and like,
yes,
and rough. And they're like, those records are a little thinner. So, and I have all my stuff cataloged on Discogs. So I know I'm at like 480 or like 500.
Nice. Well, how many do you bring out for like a 2-hour set?
For a 2-hour set, I would normally, if I have my bags actually like organized, just like two bags,
which is like 50 in each, like 100 records or something like that.
A little less than 50, probably closer to like 30 to 40, depending on the thickness. You know, a lot of the newer like presses, they're like the spines like this thick. It's like, Jesus, dude.
Yes. Yes. And there's like 4 records in there.
Yeah.
I only want to play one song. It's like, do I have to bring all 4?
The whole thing?
Like,
yeah. So yeah, that's usually like 2 bags is fine. If I bring too much, it's like overwhelming. I don't want.
Yes, but what if you get there and they don't want to listen to what the fuck you brought?
Because they're fucking shit out of luck. I'll go home. Play the house. I don't care.
What's
I got a 9 to 5. I love it. It's like I don't want to be playing. No, but you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to be playing for. I don't want to be forcing my music on people.
Right.
I want it to be welcomed. I want people that are coming out. They want it, like they want to hear it.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna just crowd please, but I'm gonna try to like find those things that resonate with somebody, and I'm trying to mesh it in. Maybe it's like something that's like more of a mainstream hit that people just know. Maybe drop something in like that every once in a while, but I'm really more on the deep cut, and it's like if you don't like that, I guess don't come tomorrow night. I'm sorry. I don't know how else to say it. It's like I'm not don't want to force anybody on it.
Yeah. The Dad's House has been a big success. I guess the story there was you and Mike lived together and wanted to start throwing a party, basically.
Kind of. It was actually before we had lived together. I was in a weird place. I had a really bad roommate prior to us living
Everybody's
together.
bad compared to DJ Deanie Daddy, bro. That's it's hard to.
I had a guy that just stopped paying rent, and it was like I was taking on all the financial burden because I was the one holding the lease, and it was kind of like verbal stuff, and I was like, this isn't worth fighting. It's winter time. I'm not going to kick somebody out on the street in the winter.
Oof.
Like it's like
It's stressful.
it was just a messy thing, and then I was kind of like I don't want to say homeless. My cousin Grace graciously welcomed me into his home and offered me a space, but I was kind of living in bags. It wasn't really like I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be like imposing too much or be in that space too long just because I'm just living there like a bum. And I was looking for a solution to get out, and Michael ended up making this purchase on this house in Wilkinsburg, and it was actually at Dad's house. Funny enough, he's like, and this is even funnier. I took like a heavy dose of like mushrooms that night, because I went through this period where I was like, I'm just getting messed up and then DJing on psychedelics because it like changed this level for me. But we'll talk about that after. He had asked me though to actually he's like, hey, I just bought this house. He's like, you want to be my roommate? And I'm like coming up on mushrooms, and I'm like, and really feeling great. And I'm like, dude, that would be freaking awesome. And I'm like, but I had already had plans to potentially move into another place. Yep. I had not signed anything yet, but I just didn't want to like, for lack of a better term, like take anybody over, like,
yeah.
But at the end of the night, I like gave it more thought, and I was like, dude, if you're serious about that, I'm doing it. I want to like, I would need a place to live.
might as well be your crib.
Yeah, it's like I
am homeless. So.
Why? Yeah. Not homeless. I don't like to say homeless because I had a home, just didn't have a real space or a place to get real comfortable just because of the situation. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna like unpack all my shit and like, it's like I don't know how long I'm gonna be here.
Yeah, yeah, fair. But we're glad Pittsburgh music scene is glad that it worked out, that you accepted, and in your deluded state, that you decided to
deluded or maybe like concentrated state.
Yeah, I think so. For me, that was always a big mistake to try to mix the two with mix DJing with that type of medicine. Really interfered with my ability to hear accurately. So like the one time I ever tried was like a Halloween show with the Jungle, which was a amazing band at Pitt, where they were playing and I was trying to DJ with them, and it was upstairs at Peter's Pub, which is now Mario's in Oakland. And there were like demons in the monitors.
Oh no, yeah. It just that feeling.
But also like there was this massive delay, it felt like there was like a minute between when I would, move the record forward and when the sound would come out of the monitors. It was like
it just really disorienting, like sort of sound, like
Yeah.
perception
For
with
me,
you?
like the type of DJing that I do is like very technical, like beat
I get
matching
that.
and like mixing, juggling, scratching. Like it's just it's not good. No bueno.
So,
But also I see it like very much as, like I said, as medicine. Like these
me too.
compounds for me are like, powerful tools to escape the prison of this subjective reality. They're tools
the meat
for
prison. Woo, woo, woo.
tool right, tools to get out
Our
of your
meat
body
bodies.
and expand consciousness and to connect with a global universal consciousness. Tools for religious understanding, tools for
Empathic, just understanding other cultures and other people, and understanding other people are real people. I think that the United States has a really hard time with that. Not, there's a lot of people that are just ignorant and live this independent life and are like, I'm me and fuck everybody else. And it's like this, I don't know, this mentality, I guess I should say, of the American culture.
it feels like there's two countries, right? If you're in the city, it's one country. If you're in the country, it's a different country, right? It's like
I know all about that.
Yeah. You have alluded a couple times, I guess, now to your upbringing. So I guess you grew up somewhere outside of Japan.
Yeah, not in Japan. I didn't grow up in Japan. I grew up in a town called Mahaffey, Pennsylvania. I always tell people think that I'm like from Punxsutawney because I just bring up Punxsutawney because that's the only town people would know. Next, like near it, it's like 15 minutes away.
Yes, I've done that. February, for the groundhog, we did it one
Nice.
time
Did you
before
enjoy
they
it? I've
canceled the camp
never
out.
done it.
Really? Oh, it was really fun. It was like a real college experience, just like doing a tailgate for anything. It was like very very similar to like a tailgate for a football game or a basketball. Like football, or I guess, do you tailgate for anything other than football? Not really. So this is like similar to that, and I guess I've heard that they won't let you like drive up and park anymore. So maybe the fun has gone, or maybe the fun is still there. I don't know. It's been 10 years. So, but yeah. So that
I don't think the fun's ever been there. Doesn't look fun standing outside in the cold.
But if you have a nice, solo stove and you're grilling some weenies and you got a nice cold beer and some good friends, I mean, that's pretty good.
Let's just watch it at home and do the same thing. I don't know. It just never.
Yeah. So how'd you make it out?
How did I make it
college, or
no? I joined the military right out of high school. I joined the Marine Corps.
That's how you
ended up in Okinawa.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
That's the connection.
Yep.
What was the story there?
So, my father was a Marine, and there's like it was a disciplined household. I was raised with kind of like a militant sort of like relationship with life. Everything was kind of like not necessarily scheduled, but I was kind of told what to do and would do it, and kind of backlash would be frowned upon. Not talking, not negatively. I love my parents. Very like grateful of my upbringing. Learned a lot, and so they're gonna be tuning into this. So I want to say I love you guys. Love you, mom and dad. Anyways, but anyway.
I love you too. Haven't met you yet.
They roll. They really do. They're awesome. Life wasn't always easy. It never is for anybody. That's part of it. That's what built character. But the thing is family was always there. We always had clothes on our back. Always had. They loved us. They did their best, and they nailed it. They fucking killed it.
Your dad must have had a very positive experience with the Corps in order for you to have decided to follow in his footsteps.
So my father had a complicated upbringing. His dad died when he was very young. Didn't really have like a long relationship with his father. His father was also a Marine, and he didn't really get along well with his biological mother, his own mother. So there was like a lot of backlash and butting heads, and that was kind of his escape to understand maybe his father. And in a similar way, me as a young kid butting heads with my dad, I was like, I just don't I don't get it, and I thought I knew everything because I'm 17 and young, and that was kind of my escape and way of like understanding him better. And
Mm.
after that experience, it's like, wow. It's like, I get it. I get why I get why he's the way has been. It's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
so, but it's brought to me. It's been like the best, one of the most positive things that's happened just in my family. For me, at least, I don't know. I just feel so much closer with everybody in my family because of that. Emotionally, like just I have a deeper understanding of everything. Basically, by understanding my father a little more deeper that way.
You must have also had some like serious amount of patriotism as well at the time to be willing to put your life on the line for the country if it came down to it.
A lot of it was like to prove something to myself. A lot of it was a patriotism, this like belief of like, oh, I can do good. And like when I joined the military too, I joined for in an electronics field. Like I was a nerd. I'm a nerd. So
that was already there before the Marines.
That was already there before the Marines.
You liked computers. You had like
that was my
calculators.
Yeah,
devices,
that was my escape
whatever.
before the Marines. You know, living in that bubble.
What
my
year
town.
was it that you moved to Okinawa? That you deployed, or what year was it that you did? What is it called? Basic training, or
for basic training? That was 2013. I left. Yeah. I'm young, dude. I'm turning 29 this month.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what was going on in 2013. I mean, did we have any wars? I feel like we had already finished Iraqi freedom and right.
I was
Afghanistan was there.
I joined at
limited.
a prime time.
I was thinking like, and your
Afghanistan
dad
was like we were pulling out like forces every year.
Yes.
It was like a slow back out. It was honestly that was like probably that was wild what had happened with everything there. But
you mean at the end with Biden?
Yeah, I'm not.
We don't have to go there.
I don't want to talk about politics that way.
No.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to talk about what the different experiences were based on the year. So for your dad would have actually been too young for Vietnam, right?
Yeah, he had just. My dad was too young. He joined after.
Yes. In mid 70s, 80s, early 80s or something.
Yeah, and it was interesting. There was like we always talk about it as kind of like funny. It's like nobody wanted to be in the military, especially after Vietnam.
Yes.
And definitely didn't want to be in the in the infantry.
Yes.
And my dad joined the infantry, not even by choice. He got screwed over by his recruiter. Kind of did like a little job switch on him. He got really bent over. They call it the green weenie actually in the military. Getting effed by the green weenie.
When the military fucks you?
Yeah.
That's very funny. The green weenie. Oh, I love that. So that's funny. There's something from one of the Beatles films. It's the green meanie or the blue meanie. The blue meanie.
I know what you're talking about.
Green weenie, blue meanie.
Blue meanies.
The blue meanies were the characters in one of the Beatles films. I think Yellow Submarine. Yeah, definitely Yellow Submarine.
I don't know what the name then there's a psychedelic mushroom that's nicknamed blue meanies. I don't know.
Then that's
I wonder
definitely
if
what
it
it's
came from
Absolutely.
that, or if they got it from that.
No, they got it from the Yellow Submarine, dude. That shit birthed everything, dude. The fucking Beatles
that would make sense.
They were on another level
blue
of
meanies.
culture. On another level. That's interesting. Okay,
that's when their music got
stems, good. Because the stems of many of the psilocybin containing mushroom species bruise blue.
Yep.
Interesting. So like psilocybe cubensis, for example, will bruise blue. No, that's very interesting. But you have to have, I think, a spore print in order to identify them separate from a couple other similar species.
How much do you like with your I don't even know how to formulate the question. How much with like neurology, with like the change in like, I think in attitude of like psychedelics and a little bit more acceptance like coming, like what do you see with like future, maybe not here in Pennsylvania. I don't know what things are like, but like, what do you see in that like,
how is this space going to change and how is it going to affect my career?
And I want to hear, I guess, your opinions on it and your take on it.
Obviously medicine. It's obviously some of the most powerful medicine in the human armamentarium. It's probably the reason for the birth of civilization. It's some of the
even maybe.
Yeah, dude. It's the reason for the cortex, right? The idea
Entirely.
that, you know, we probably evolved from apes, came down from the trees to eat mushrooms. You know, that's where it came from. Language probably started there. And the moon goddess worship is because we were worshiping whatever grew under the light of the moon. I mean, this is all like Terence McKenna and like very like old ideas that are certainly not mine. But the way I see it affecting me and the way I see it affecting the field is unfortunately very slow. The field is obviously very, very caught in their ways. They're caught in quicksand. The quicksand of dogma, of medical dogma is no joke. It's concrete, and it takes a long time in order to change people's minds. It takes one experience, but it'll unfortunately the right people aren't getting dosed.
Right.
You know, they used to have
Put it in the water.
They used to have that's the next story, right? It's like there was a famous story about the Playboy television show. What was it? What's his name? The main guy from Playboy.
Oh, Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner, yeah. Hugh Hefner had a
that's
television
it.
show, and apparently, like
Hugh?
the coffee would get spiked with LSD, like, and people would take a trip without volunteering for it, and a number of celebrities kind of came online in that manner. That's like a thing, but basically, I think that it will affect different disease processes in different stages. Right now, what it's being studied for and what it's obviously incredibly beneficial for is end-of-life dysphoria. So knowing that you have cancer, knowing that you have terminal, and dosing these people with psilocybin transforms the experience without a doubt. So that's obvious. Number one. So that should be first and foremost. We should have that available for every single dying person in America.
Absolutely. That's like bottom line. If you're dying.
Everyone, and we all are.
Yeah, that's true.
This is terminal all around, baby. Not one of us escapes.
I'm terminally chill.
Terminally ill. So, so that's number one. Number two is addiction. So in the field of addiction medicine, we know about the data from ibogaine, and this is like, this compound which is used, I think, in South America with incredible efficacy. Something where people take one dose and never drink again. People with alcoholism, usually it takes them their whole life to try to quit. Many never will successfully. But this one compound, just like I guess people have these experiences with ayahuasca and cigarettes, same deal with
cigarettes?
Yeah, being able to quit nicotine,
quit
tobacco.
I see what you're saying. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's for like cessation. And
yeah. So that's like very, very powerful. Plant medicine is number two. And then I think the third one, which has been very heavily studied and which will very rapidly come online and relates to our conversation previously, is the PTSD literature with MDMA, which is unbelievable. Really, like the drugs that we're comparing these things to, like admittedly, I think the strongest argument against, these plant compounds and psychedelics being highly efficacious is the simple fact that what we're testing them against, the SSRIs, do not work very well.
No?
So it's like, of course they look amazing. They're being tested against something that can't beat placebo most of the time. Right. So like,
that's crazy.
So like compared to an SSRI, like, yeah, this is going to work very well compared to bupropion or
and they work
Chantix.
In the same manner, right? Like they kind of, or like not the same manner, but like in the same area of the head, brain receptors.
Yeah, the 5-HT2A receptor is the serotonin receptor that LSD, psilocybin, DMT, they all act on that same receptor. So yeah, there's something special about it, but that's not how SSRIs work.
No, I get you.
They just block that shit
it.
from getting
reabsorbed,
so it stays in the synapse longer. But what happens then? I was just listening to Andrew Weil.
Is it like a dam?
What do you think would happen to any organic system if you put more and more of some substance into it? It's going to stop responding. Basically, the way it works is you have less and less receptors. So the receptors are internalized. And then what happens when you stop taking the medicine? now your natural amount of serotonin isn't enough because there aren't any receptors left. So it's this.
It's just you're just slowly killing their receptors.
I mean,
kind of. Well, not no. I know. No,
I don't want to say
don't back yourself into a corner.
No. It's all right. Like I don't want to say it exactly like that, but that's my understanding of the neurochemistry, of the neurophysiology. Is basically that. Is that it's like there is this. We all know that there's this big withdrawal if you stop an SSRI, that you can't take somebody off suddenly, and that's why. It's because obviously you're going to have this profound dysphoria, and that's what it's from. So, anyway, it's definitely medicine, and I hope I'm able to incorporate it into my own practice. I really do. I'd like to have something like a VIP kind of concierge type practice where at some point I'm divorced from the hospital systems. I'm divorced from Western medicine entirely, and I can just treat people the way I want to treat them.
Nice.
They show up, cash pay. It's like a one cost per visit type thing, $100, $200, I don't know, $1,000, whatever it is, and I have everything you need. I've got psychedelics, conventional Western medicine. I've got yoga. I've got hypnosis.
Yoga's great.
Acupuncture. I've got massage. I've got sauna. Ice bath. I love what's been going on in Pittsburgh. I've been going to these sauna sessions in in Bloomfield, I guess. Lawrenceville, that are just amazing. Right. There's this guy who's just killing it with that, and I've got another one coming up. This weekend.
Where do you go at in Bloomfield? Do you know the name of it?
It's a secret. It's kind of a secret.
Okay, yeah. Don't say it out loud.
If people are interested, they can hit me or Corey. Corey knows about it too.
Cool. You tell me later.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, come. I would actually love to go with you, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. So that's my hope, dude. I got into it because I want to heal people, and there's a lot of suffering out there that is so needless. Like I really feel like there's way too much suffering, and we can heal people with hallucinogens, psychedelics. We can heal people with music, with vibration. Vibration is medicine, man, without a doubt.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. I feel it. Like I was reading, I don't know if this is true, but I've read that like only like half the population experiences music where they can experience chills from it.
Whoa.
I assume anybody who loves music is in that 50% that does, but I don't know if that's true. It's just like one of those statistics of like some sort of study.
Yeah.
Let's look into that because I don't like spreading misinformation.
No, I mean, it sounds like it'd be really hard to study, right? On like a population level.
Yeah.
But the goose flash, goose pimples.
Sometimes
there's so many fun names for them.
My back.
What are the other good names? Goose flash, goose bumps, goose pimples.
Flash. You said
goose flesh.
Flash.
You ever heard goose flash?
Oh, flesh. I thought you said flash. I was like, what the
goose
hell
flash.
Is that? Flash.
And cats, it's also called piloerection. That's a great name.
Piloerection.
Piloerection is the medical term.
I like it. I'm down for that one. Yo, I'm piloerect right now.
It's dope.
They'll be like, what?
Yes. So, I feel like we can talk maybe a little more about what your sound is and what this kind of idea that you've had about curating your music library is and where you get your records from. How do you know if it's something you want to add to your collection, and how are you bankrolling all this, and where are you getting the tunes?
But yeah, well, Chase credit card's doing a pretty good job on that one, but now I gotta stop because the interest is starting to pile up a little bit. So it's like, so that's where the bankroll is. Now, it's not that bad, but I have put kind of like I've frozen my Discogs. I'm like, I can't buy anything else on Discogs right now. I had to just pay this stuff off.
Yeah.
But I guess as far as like just the influence and like the soundscape that I want to build comes from the things that I love, and from my experiences in Japan. I wasn't like I tried to listen to some Japanese music while I was in Japan, and just like couldn't really find a lot of the things that I guess was expecting, or like the soundscape was not like, I didn't know what to look for, didn't know where to look.
It's a island in the very far south of Japan, correct?
Yes, it's in the Ryukyu. Am I saying that right? Ryukyu Island chain.
Yeah. And it happens to be where I guess the biggest Marine base is, where we
Right.
We put our Marine base there after we nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right. But we signed a treaty. Was that Versailles? No, that World War One.
That was after World War One. That's the cause of World War Two.
What? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
What's the after World War Two though? What was that one?
Oh,
You're a history buff guy.
Oh man,
we signed one with Japan.
Okay, I don't remember. We can look it up. I'm sure my wife knows.
In the treaty though, we essentially said we would help protect the Ryukyu Island chain that Japan had claimed.
MacArthur Doctrine or something.
That's not Matt. No,
I think MacArthur was like was the general. Anyway, so
that sounds right.
So it was a treaty of protection, or was it?
But part of the treaty. Well,
we were going to protect them from China. I guess that was the
we
big,
vowed. Well, that's actually the case now, where a lot of Chinese maps and there's Chinese claim where they'll say, "Oh, yes, we own this island in the Ryukyu Island chain."
Yes,
and that's where it's like kind of like more scary for us because we have a treaty saying like, "Hey, no, this is Japan,"
and like a lot of it is involving Navy ships because you're in Okinawa. I mean, what were you doing down there? What was the experience? Can you paint a picture of what life was like and where were you living and what made you so excited about Japanese culture? So were you already on this kind of kick or, how did it work?
So my father also was in Okinawa while he was in for a little bit too. So it was like kind of like this goal of mine. I wanted to go to Okinawa, but I like Japanese culture growing up. I wasn't like a huge anime buff, but I was into Naruto and like Death Note and like some of these like weirdo animes. I totally fell out. Like I don't really watch TV. I don't really care about TV. I just want to listen to music. But my experience there,
you can put the anime on mute and then press play on the music of your choice, and it actually takes the experience to a whole new level.
Yeah,
right?
It's visuals then at that point.
Pretty dope.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty
cool. Absolutely. Actually, before we get too far, you only get a little more gin.
Yeah, where's that?
You don't have to cut that even. Let everybody know.
I got it.
Let's not do
Hold
it
over the turntables.
Yeah,
those are like these things are indestructible, man.
They are.
First of all, I've had each of these for more than 20 years, maybe. Is that right?
I bet. Oh man, that's reminded me of stuff of Okinawa too. So in Okinawa, I was on Camp Kinzer. It was like on the more southern part of the island, it was the most southern base, or one of the most southern bases. It might have been some other thing. I don't fucking know. Anyways, one of the most southern bases close to Naha, which is like their capital. It had like their downtown international like district, which would have there were these bars and these clubs. That was the first time I'd like seen people doing live DJing with vinyl and doing these DJ sets. You'd go into one place and it'd be like a jazz club, and then you just go up the stairs and it'd just be we're just wandering around. I can't read half the signs in Okinawa. It's like, oh, bar, beer. It's like, oh, okay, let's go there. Let's check that out. That sounds cool. Bar, beer, music. Cool. That's it. I'm in with that.
Yeah, girls. We just checked off all the boxes.
Well, they would probably have like a cute little anime girl on it. You're like, all right, there's probably girls in there. Gotta be. It's just creepy dudes. Like hanging out. No, but it was crazy. There'd be like a jazz club on one floor, and you'd go up, and I remember we were in like this aquarium fucking bar, and then we went up like one more deck, and there was this guy just like cutting it up on vinyl, and I wish I like had paid attention more. There's a guy I follow now on that lives in Okinawa, and he has like a class. It's like his like handle is like Scratch University or something like that, and he's this Okinawan dude that's just chopping it up and showing you like step-by-step stuff. Amazing. And like he teaches a school in Okinawa for DJing. It's huge. People are sleeping on Okinawa, and like my goal is to make a trip back to Okinawa and do a DJ set at some point.
Let's go.
Is my main goal. If
Talk to Bonix. Yeah, Brandon Glova, the guy who taught me how to DJ, is Wiz Khalifa's DJ. He just got back from Tokyo. He knows all the DJs there. So
hell yeah, I want to do Okinawa.
Yeah, dude, but like they probably know people. Fucking asshole. I fucking hate you.
I'm like, fuck Tokyo, man. I want to do Okinawa.
Like you might have to take it in steps. I don't know.
Dude, I think Okinawa is smaller than Tokyo. It's like 70 miles long. I think that Tokyo whole area is probably like 70 miles of suburbia.
Biggest city in the world.
Is it bigger than Beijing? Even bigger than Beijing? Is it bigger? I don't know.
It's the most populous metropolitan area in the world.
I believe that. Oh, obviously.
Yeah. So the experience was something of seeing music live, kind of in that way for the first time, hearing DJs for the first time, and then there was something about the music itself.
Well, so much. Again, I had trouble finding the things that I wanted to. Like that I was like hoping for. I guess I just had in my head. I think I have these like expectations sometimes with music, and that's why whenever like if something really jumps out at me, and hits that like this like expectation I have, I'm like, I just fall in love with it and I can't stop listening to it. I had a few experiences of that. I remember I discovered Haruomi Hosono within like the first like 3 weeks of being in Okinawa, Japan. And finding out about some of his work, but I never like even dove deep into his work. And it was more so after I left Japan, and I had this record that I had bought that I had listened to, and nothing jumped out at me. But then like later, I was just like looking for something different. I wanted to hear. I had this expectation, and I threw it on. And it surpassed that expectation. It was like way above and beyond. And I was like, I listened to this before when I first bought it, and I didn't feel this at all.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, fuck, I miss Japan. I miss all this. And like, it just made this like wave of things that I maybe had heard in passing in Japan, like these sounds in like a taxi ride or just at like a random like dive bar in Okinawa. Like just this feeling was evoked, and I was like, felt like I was there. I closed my eyes and I felt like I was there, and it was a transformational period in my life. I would wake up, and the military was I had to follow rules and regulations, and I was basically signed up for my own temporary prison sentence as government property for a little bit. So it's like that's what my life was for a while. But we had liberties to go out and see Japan, and just waking up, I would be like, holy fuck, I'm in Okinawa, Japan. I'm getting paid to be here. It's like, and I tried to seize that opportunity the best I could. Like, I bought records while I was out there, but there's really only one that like whenever I went back and listened to it in the States, I was like, I am hooked. And I started like digging into Japanese funk, I'm really like mostly Japanese funk based, and city pop is kind of like a lot of that stuff really overlaps and blurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I said, a lot of it's a reflection of it's so beautiful. I love it. This reflection of American culture, and then Americans, like I said, we got those same tools and just produce these awesome fucking records. I don't know. I'm just
so maybe
I don't know. It's just it's really beautiful to me.
I wonder if there was some feeling that you had there that you've been chasing, trying to reproduce or recreate. Like, was there some experience of being young and kind of feeling like your whole life was in front of you, or like the experience of island life, maybe of this kind of like surf culture, beach life culture?
Yes. Because Okinawa is nothing like Tokyo or like mainland Japan. It's so much laid back in that beach laid back lifestyle. And Okinawa also is like unique because of we have the military bases there. You could go out and you could be kind of an ignorant American because most people spoke more English than you spoke Japanese. And they would just, if you tried to speak Japanese, a lot of times they would just talk, speak English and be like, you're just like, well, guess I'll just do that then. And yeah, it was just a pause. It's this unique period in the world where you have directly, right in front of you, Japanese and American culture and this love. And it's like firsthand you see it. You feel what I see with the bridge of like music in like the 70s and 80s between Japan and the US. There's like so many awesome like Herbie Hancock was on top of a lot of that stuff. He's done stuff with Kimiko Kasai, who's like one of the albums I brought, and that was the one that I bought, that I revisited, and was like, oh my God, this is so good. And was just, like you said, hooked.
He's coming to Pittsburgh.
He is.
Oh, yeah.
I saw.
Herbie
Hancock, the official page, has liked one of my posts before, too.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Was it was it this record?
No, it was actually it was like just a post of like Watermelon Man or something. Or is that the name of the album? That's not the name of the album. It's got Watermelon Man on it.
Don't get caught in my dying palm. Don't get your palm caught in the... I'm still holding out for that one. That one's, on its last legs. Was this music, do you have an idea of where it was actually being made in Japan? So it was 1970s, right? 1970s, 80s, jazz, but with some electronic influences and this American kind of influence. And it was being made, was any of it being made in Okinawa, or was it all happening in the mainland? Or what's the history of Japanese funk and city pop?
Not so much, I don't think, really Okinawa. Most of it was made in mainland Japan or some of the other neighboring islands. Not really so much Okinawa. But I guess it's more so just that's the interesting place where Okinawa is like the portal to me of this.
You can access
kind of the same thing, yeah.
You can access it because they speak English.
And you get the best of both worlds. You can kind of be like, oh my gosh, I miss the US. I want to go get a burger. They have a place called American Village and they love it. They got like a shopping mall. And Japan loves capitalism and they do it better than America does. That's all. That's the one place I'm just like, yeah, capitalism in Japan rules. minus their high suicide rates. That's kind of pressure to conform
a little. Yeah, that idea of like the job man, or what's the name of the salary man? The salary man will go and just like die at his desk,
right?
Work 14, 16-hour days all week, including on the weekend, and
it's almost honorable. Like it's like that's the type of guy this guy is, and it's like this. I don't know, but also there's a pressure to if you're not contributing to bettering society or playing your part, then you're lesser in a status of like just how people will look at you.
What was your plan when you were leaving the military?
When I was leaving the military, initially I was thinking about going to school for like physical therapy. Was my initial plan. Believe it or not.
How did it transform into what you're doing now?
I couldn't really focus in school. I did good. I would get good grades. I took some online courses, and this was like not long after I got out. I actually just had like a 9-to-5 job. I was doing what I did in the military. I was a calibration tech. Just calibrating like electronical and mechanical measuring systems of all kinds, hand tools or like actual machinery, things that just needed to be precise and have like data provided with like certain measurements.
Like dial calipers.
Dial calipers that did so many they make you sick. I'll tell you, Brown and Sharp are probably the best ones. If you're gonna get a dial caliper, if you want digital, get Mitutoyo. Promise.
I'm trying to remember
Japanese.
I should go. I used those. Something to do with either physics, like physics lab, or chemistry lab. You know, there's at some point we had to use calipers, but I can't remember why. It's one of those science things.
I get you. There's another brand like Starrett or some shit. I don't know what the hell they are. It's American made though.
So you're more using the tech, like you are using some of the skills that you got in the Marine Corps.
Yes, like
for your current job.
My current job is very much. I wouldn't have it if it weren't for that. Actually the founder of the company, he's from he ran like the robotics program at like Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
Didn't really like the practices there anymore. He was like,
the DARPA
I'm fucking
grants?
done with this. He was tired of reinventing the wheel every single year. And yeah, it was like he thought it was like poor allocation of money and like, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but from what I gathered, it sounded like poor allocation of money and resources of like talent of people who were there. So there were some him and some of the other engineers split away and started our company.
Interesting. Yeah, CMU is an amazing.
He's also a former Marine.
Spot. Yeah, my buddy, one of my best friends, is like a real interesting character. Used to date my sister back in the day. He was the person who put me up on skateboarding, taught me about hip hop, graffiti.
Skateboarding, I skateboarded.
Knocking over, head shops for equipment, whatever. And his thing was, he was here in Pittsburgh working for an electronics company, making circuit boards or something, like video cards. But when I went to see his office, it was in an old house in Squirrel Hill. Like, there was no sign. It was crazy. It was a crazy setup, like big ass gun lockers, and like it was legit, bro.
That's cool.
Heady shit. But that's not the company you're working for, I guess? All right. Yours is like you have like a sign on the door and things. It's like official.
Kind of with small sign. But we're like tucked back. Like I said, we're on this applied research center, which in Harmerville, and it's like
it's kind of a commute. Yeah,
it's not too bad though. It's like seriously like under 25 minutes to get to work. 20 minutes from where I'm at in Wilkinsburg.
It's like a 9 to 5. You show up Monday through Friday, and
That's
what you did today.
Got work tomorrow.
You worked.
Yep.
We are. What do you think the future holds for you? Would you rather be DJing full time?
No, I wouldn't want to do it full time.
It's a miserable job.
To me, it's like
it's weddings.
Nobody's gonna want you if you're doing it all the fucking time.
Just
much.
Weddings. The only way to make
weddings,
it work. Weddings and corporate gigs,
and I don't want to do that. I want to continue honing my skills and the things that I love.
Yes.
And building this soundscape, which again, I'm gonna add one more layer onto that here in a second. But I just want to continue doing that and enjoying it. And this year, I made no money. DJ, I spent again Chase Credit. They're holding it down for me right now.
Yes.
Hooked it up. I got to pay off some. Right, like I spent over $6,000 on records probably this year. Not just through mostly like $5,000 on Discogs and like probably $1,000 locally.
Dope. So at the Attic and at Jerry's?
Mostly the Attic.
Do they have the type of records that you're interested in?
As far as like Japanese, if I want it now, or if there's like something that I just haven't really dove into that much, I always go there and I look and they have it a small, it's like right on the, if you're in the Attic, I don't know how often you go. If you're in the Attic and
this is Millvale.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
hang a couple times.
You hang a right as like you're going into their like kind of back room. There's just this like sliver of like Italian. They'll have like some like West African stuff. Like just this sliver of like awesome fucking records, but most of it's like the Attic knows what they got.
Yeah, you're not gonna. you're not really gonna pull one off.
You're not really getting a crazy deal, but you're getting the convenience and you're supporting locally, and like they they know they have some really cool stuff that like I've taken a chance on, and I've never been really disappointed. Like I have things that I bought there and been like, wow, this is even better than I expected.
Amazing. Very cool. I guess, does Jerry's not have that type of of Japanese music or anything? Because usually when I go there, I'm like, I'm amazed at all the different types of shit they have. Like they've got this crazy soundtrack section, the 45s. Like
I haven't really been able to find anything that's really
not for you.
Been the right thing for me there. In that sense, I love Jerry's, and for like getting staple records too, that's just like it's like all this like almost like dead stock. It's like, how do they have these like it's like it's like going to a new store, but it's like, oh yeah, we got this old like 1978 copy of like some funk album that's like just a staple, and it's like, oh yeah, it's only $4. It's like, what? Okay, cool, I'll take that. Add that to the stack, or $8, or under like really reasonable prices.
Yeah, feels like it should be more. Just like every time you go out to eat in Pittsburgh or like buy anything here, and you're like, wait a minute, like
Jerry's, yeah,
so fucking cheap. Like, yeah, I'm gonna miss that. It's like inverse sticker shock for coming from Charleston. Everything.
Yeah, you're like, man, I'm buying everybody in the restaurant a meal.
Yeah, how are you guys surviving? How are you guys staying in business? It's just unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the people who are succeeding as DJs as their only occupation, it is a bit of a soulless, thankless undertaking. The only people that I can think of that are really like happy and doing it 24/7, like as their only job, people like Selecta, where they've been able to incorporate Twitch. And they've just been doing it so long that like they can pick and choose their gigs.
I just saw something, I think Bus Crates had it on his like story or something like that.
Yeah.
Like something about Twitch, like saying like you have to like claim taxes. He's like, well, my Twitch days are over, or something like that.
Been a good ride, guys. That's funny.
Shout out to Bus Crates. He's the man.
Oh my God, that's funny. That's really funny. Wait, you have to pay taxes for money you get when you DJ?
It's like, what? I don't make enough to know. No, but actually I'm doing an extension on my taxes, so if the IRS is listening, don't worry. I'm doing it. I promise.
They start knocking on this door.
Somebody's watching me.
I can chill over by my desk.
Nice. So the reason I'm doing an extension is because, like I said, I spent like $5 or $6 grand. I know I didn't make that much DJing this year.
Yeah, so you can use it as some
sort of write-off, I guess.
There you go.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, you can write that shit off.
I don't know how to do that, but I was talking with Nugget last night, and he's like, hey, do you ever need help with that? It's like, I'm gonna.
Did you guys have Dad's house last night?
No, I went to...
You were at that DJ school with Zimmy? With Melody and...
Yeah. Oh my God.
Spirit?
Yeah, Spirit. That after party. Oh my God. Dude, I couldn't believe it was free.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was free.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to see you there. I was like, man.
I thought I'd be there, but I wrapped with Chad like really late. It was already
you guys were talking
9,
about some things.
10. That episode will never come out. This episode will be out before that episode. I'm not releasing it, Chad. Sorry. The whole thing, he's just like talking about this one girl, and it's just like, it's too bro for me. Like the whole thing, I get called like some kind of bro. I like people will be like you're just another podcast bro. It's like, well, I'm not trying to play into that at all. Like I'd like to talk about things that Joe Rogan isn't talking about, and have guests that are interested.
Oh,
in
sorry,
things
I brought up the psychedelics. You ever do TMT, dog? Hey, Jamie, pull that one up real quick.
Have you ever heard of the ancient apocalypse theory? Let's talk about the Younger Dryas. Jesus. Yeah, it's like a knockoff Rogan at its worst, right? That's sad.
What were we saying?
So yeah, I was trying to ask about Twitch, and if that could become an income stream or like a way of offsetting the cost of some of the records, at least.
For me?
Yeah.
Nah, I just want to play for people out in public.
Yeah, it's
I don't
miserable looking at the screen and
Yeah.
giving the thumbs up. Hey, number 2, 3, 4.
no,
Thanks
me-
for the bits.
If
Like,
me and Deanie set something up at the house
Yeah.
and it was like me and some friends just fucking around, we're having drinks and
yeah,
we're putting on like a little DJ set, that would be fun. But I don't want to be just spinning alone in my room and
it's really
like
sad,
hoping that more than 10 people view
Shit is whack.
it and being like, man, I broke double digits. It's 10 people in my Twitch. Yeah. All right. Ooh, I'm the fucking man.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I feel that hard.
I just can't.
Also, you guys are like so analog, right? Your whole thing is like you
Yeah.
guys don't have a TV, you don't have computers, you just
I
read
got a
books
computer.
and-
No, I didn't tell you about my other hobby, huh? Well, obviously I like racing.
Oh, cool.
This ain't just I don't just do this shit for show, man. This fucking
You actually
I love rally. I like my brother
have
works for
tuners
NASCAR.
and- do you
I
do you
love
work on
racing, dude.
cars?
I don't work on the cars. I don't have the money for that. I buy records. I like things that go spin in circles though.
Okay, so you like to go,
Yeah, round shit that
but
spins
not
fast.
drive. Oh.
No, so I have a computer built at home, and I built it specifically for sim racing.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have the hutch, the like thing that you can get into with
have,
the
like, a little
yoke and the,
cockpit.
yeah, with the
it's got
pedals
force
and
feedback
everything?
steering wheel. It's got
Woo.
clutch. Got the gear stick. You can do selector. It's like the
Amazing.
sequential.
It's got a
shifter.
6-speed shifter
Got
and everything.
Actually, up to 8 up to
Ooh.
7. So it's like if you
And
got
then-
you're
but
in some crazy
you've
cars.
got click shift on the yoke
Also?
also if you
Yep.
want to go that direction.
And you can change the wheels out for like they're expensive, but they have like carbon fiber, like basically like the real deal steering wheel
Wow.
with all the buttons and like brake bias and like
Do you have the screens on the
traction
side?
control and shit.
Like the screens on the side of you so you can look left and right, or VR?
Right now, I just have almost like how this is on like a
Yeah.
thing. I have a ultra wide monitor. It's like the curved.
Yep.
That's like sits on like one of these arms that I can just bring.
So that's what you were doing when you should have been learning how to beat match?
Hey, whoa! Who said I can't beat match? I can do better than Michael. Heard it there first.
You were pretending to drive a race car.
Yeah, but that's the fast pace adrenaline
Yeah.
of
I
that
love
sort of
video
thing.
games, dude.
That is like the only video game I can play now. It's not even. It's
What is the game? Is it Gran Turismo or
no. I have a couple different games that I play. But the one is like it's been around since like 2010 or maybe 2008. Can't remember. iRacing. It's like a subscription. They have
Whoa.
they have laser scan tracks of real tracks around the world.
Oh, that's cool.
They have like a small development team. Actually, I lived in New England for a little bit, and I worked like only a few blocks away
Yeah.
from where this iRacing development team was, and I had no fucking idea until COVID hit, and I couldn't like go visit the place or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
son of a bitch! Like, man, I was
Yeah.
right there. But yeah, it's the best like online. They have dedicated servers, so everything's like synchronized. They have a great like rating system, so you can't just drive like an asshole.
Oh,
and,
you're
like-
playing
like,
against other people.
You play against other people.
Oh, you're actually racing humans.
You're really racing humans
you're
on
getting
dedicated servers. Everything's like
winning awards. Do you have? Is that how you got the jacket?
you actually no.
Okay.
You actually can though, because it is subscription based.
Yeah.
You can race if you race in the right leagues and race enough times.
Yes.
You earn it will earn enough credits. You got to race a lot. I don't ever do that. I'll just pay like the $5 or $10 a
Wasn't
month.
wasn't there a movie recently about a guy who won a competition in Gran
There's
Turismo
like a Gran
and
Turismo
actually
one,
got
yeah.
to go
I haven't
drive in
watched that,
NASCAR?
yeah. I never watched.
And I think it was a
not
true
NASCAR.
story.
Was it not
think
NASCAR?
it was
was
a
it?
true story.
Wasn't NASCAR?
It might have
though.
been Formula One. I
or
don't remember.
IMSA maybe or
I
something.
don't remember,
know.
but the point is, I think it was a true story. It was
It
somebody who
was.
was actually doing the
Doing
video
sim
game,
stuff,
the sim, and they put him in a real car.
I'd be interested. I know exactly what you're talking about. I haven't watched it yet, though. I would be interested in watching
Yeah.
it, though.
It's not
I-
Ready
I'm
Player
sure it's
One,
like a
which is a
little-
similar idea, right? Ready Player One. And
Pretty
then obviously
much.
Tron, like Tron would be like another very similar kind of, life
So this is
video
real.
game, entering into the video game, like, yeah, something like that. And Baby Driver was another like similar kind of maybe. Yeah, I think that sim shit is dope. I mean,
It's cool.
if you could flip it into actually driving, though, it'd be cooler.
Well, it definitely, trust me, like I can tell it's helped me with driving.
Really?
Dude, the
getting less
reflexes that you
crashes?
get, yeah. No, dude, I swear to God. No, there's been times I've been on some snowy roads and it's just like this cocky,
Know how
like
to
I just know
oversteer
how
to
to
get out of it, yeah.
countersteer and
Yep,
oversteer.
yep,
Where
yep.
I've been in some slippy situations and I'm cool, calm, and
Yeah.
collected because it's happened to me a million times in the sim race.
And you have 4-wheel drive.
Not right now, actually. I don't have a Subaru. I'm a poser.
Whoa.
Yeah, I got a Hyundai.
Those things are so
Korean.
the ones that are easy to steal, right? But you pop
Not
off
it.
the
No. Mine's the first year that
flathead
all
screwdriver.
Mine's the first year that all of them have a anti-theft immobilizer now
cool.
because the reason
They
that
heard about it.
happened.
Kia Boys.
The
You know
Kia
about the
Boys.
Kia
I
Boys?
know about the Kia Boys, dude. I do. I love it. They were just hopping in with a USB and like driving around, going on a joyride.
They wear them around their
I
neck
love
like they've got
Yo, I love the
gold-plated
Kia
fucking
Boys.
USBs and shit.
I'm for the Kia Boys. If they're listening,
Team Kia Boy.
Team Kia Boy. I'm a Hyundai guy. The same thing. Same company. But I'm Team Kia Boys.
Well, yeah.
I thought that's like
it's part
awesome.
of-
That's baller.
I mean, if they like crash into an old lady and like run over dogs.
But
and
did
stuff,
they? Did the Kia Boys do that?
Uh,
They didn't.
I agree.
They were responsible USB users.
I think that
It's like DJ. If you're a DJ, you can just steal a Kia.
the system Kia. I don't need a Kia. I got a Kia. The system is a little too sure of itself, and we do need these kind of countercultural elements to intersperse and to disrupt the matrix. You know, it's very important that if the kind of capitalist enterprise, the bombs and, you know, pandemics, like get too sure of themselves,
Right.
at some point, like we need things like that.
You need
to
somebody who's the
kind of-
start of a revolutionary idea, or like, hey, finding the weaknesses in those things before somebody else does.
They're, you know,
Those things are very important
yeah.
for progress, for safety, everything. Go Kia Boys.
I'm glad we both agree. I'm glad we both agree on that. That's good. So the 9 to 5 doing electronics,
Electronics. Love it.
racing on the sim, and collecting weird Japanese records and DJing.
That's what I like.
What have the wins been for you for the DJing? I guess you have this party which has been successful. Have you been able to play with different people that you that you like around town, and do you have goals that you'd like to accomplish with the DJing?
Like I said, that the number one goal for me is to play international, and specifically Okinawa is where I want to do a set, because to me Okinawa is like a second home. It's
Yes.
it's where my young adult impressions were made on me there, and I just felt it's a place that I'll never let go of. I'm always gonna there's gonna be a time period in my life where I'm always gonna want to go back to Okinawa and even just visit for a while. I think my dream really is I was retired. This is down the road. My vision is man, I will be in Okinawa. I'm gonna be in Okinawa, Japan. I love it. I love the place.
That's
I
so
love the
cool.
entire energy. But
Yeah, do it. Get a condo on the beach, man.
I really want to.
Property values aren't getting any cheaper.
Right. I really want to specifically throw out some mentions to people who've helped me
Yeah,
grow as a DJ.
Shout out Pretty
from
Tony and Deanie Daddy. Let's
oh
go.
my God, absolutely. Obviously, Michael, we talked about him earlier. He's really one of the biggest driving forces that got me into wanting to DJ. Was the motivator, the catalyst of saying yeah, do it, you should, and that's all it took. Because I looked up to him, appreciated what he was doing, and like the drive. When I first met him, I thought he was just DJing forever. I had no idea. Like I thought he was DJing for a long time. And it's like really he's only been DJing for like a couple months more than me.
Why?
Like 6
why
or 7
is he
months.
so popular? How
I
how
don't-
has he become the
Dude,
guy
nobody fucking
in
knows.
the entire hipster universe of
Okay.
Pittsburgh? I don't
Okay.
understand. Like, I fuck with him. Don't get me wrong. Like, as a person, he's the shit. Like, I think he plays the right records, maybe for the room. Is that what it is, or what is it?
Right. So you might have to blur this one out. I think so. Like like on the back of the dollar bill.
The Illuminati? You're saying he's part of the Illuminati?
I'm just fucking around. I have no idea. Everybody knows Michael, and he's the unofficial mayor of Pittsburgh in that sense, or at least Bloomfield.
Dope.
So huge, yeah. Shout out to him, obviously. Roommate, brother for life. Love you, buddy. Another little shout out to somebody who is like, this is the first digital DJ that I was like really like interacting with, and I don't know if he's come up on the podcast. I don't know if I've missed any episode, or maybe he's been briefly mentioned, but somebody I want to really like latch on and say like is one of the most positive forces is Reese Cosmic Drip. Do you know him?
No.
I don't know his last name's never come up in conversation to me. Don't know his last name. Love him. Cosmic Drip. Dude, he asked me, so we played the High Line. Do you know where the High Line's at?
Yeah, Southside.
Yeah, Southside. Last year, he put together this High Line event. You know, a lot of it was, I don't think it was just Reese, but Reese put together a lot of these elements. And this guy is Reese is, oh my fuck it. You want to talk about the epitome of BDE, big dick energy? This guy just, he wants to put on a good show, and he sees potential.
Yes.
He's a fucking organizer. He's a fucking leader, and a fucking great DJ on top of it all. It's like, but fucking DJ is like, fuck even the DJing part. He's just the man. He puts the shit together, and he helped, like, he invited me. He saw potential in me, invited me out to the summit. Like, him and his friends, they like recorded it. It's like, it's online somewhere where all of us were like DJing at the summit, and it was just, he's been a huge supporter of me from day one.
Nice.
And love him. Reese.
Big energy.
BDE.
BBE.
Yeah, big.
That's how they censored it out with the Lotto song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That big
What's
dick
the
energy.
Lotto?
Yeah.
What is that?
The thing when you can't get of me, I can tell you got that big dick energy, but it's just when you hear the radio edit, it's like you got that big energy.
Big. He got that big energy. Obviously, my cousin, I mentioned him earlier. He's helped me out a lot. He's in the band Melt. Again, he was another catalyst in that whole thing where I told Michael I'm going to be a DJ, and he was throwing this pop festival together. I didn't even have a mixer at the time. I had a shitload of records, had 2 turntables, didn't have a mixer. And he's like, "You want to DJ this?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't even have a mixer yet." He's like, "I don't care, just throw a fucking playlist together." He's like, "Just play music."
Cool.
So that was like my first gig, but without that,
Cool.
that was a catalyst where it was like, okay, it's shit or get time. It's like he wants me to just play music, and then from that point, that was like a period in where it was like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm gonna do, and I was nervous. Didn't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. We used to throw parties in my room in Okinawa. I just had 1 turntable, but we called it Vinyl and Chill, and we'd all get fucked up out in Okinawa, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Troop's got all the records." Like, so my
Nice.
friends would come into my room, and we'd drink beer, more beer.
You brought
2
some
shots.
to Japan? You brought some of your records to
Oh,
Japan?
dude, there was a record store right off base in Japan, and that's like, I was buying records every day. I actually didn't bring any records to Japan, but I brought probably like 120 records home.
Cool. That's cool. And you bought a turntable when you were out there? Or
Yeah.
You had one, yeah.
Yeah. That's the one nice thing about the military. It's like healthcare,
Yes.
roof over your head,
Yes.
food every day, 9 to 5 to keep you kind of out of trouble till afterwards. And then, and then like everything else, like the money that you make, you didn't make a lot, but it's all yours.
Yes. And if you get an honorable discharge, you keep getting paid, right? There's some kind of pension.
Only if you
You have
retire.
You have to keep working.
You have to do. They'll sometimes make deals depending on like what retention and things were. There was a point right now they're having retention issues. People don't want to stay in the military. Before it used to be, there were people like, hey, there's a lot of new recruits, new people want to come in. They started forcing people out. Like, hey, here, take this early retirement. We'll give you this much.
Yeah.
Because we need room.
Wow.
We need young guns.
It's the opposite now.
Now it's the opposite. They can't. They're having a really hard time. I'm not sure what's the catalyst. Don't care. That's something that they got to figure that one out.
You're still in the middle of your list, and we'll get back to it. But how do you feel about the military service in hindsight? Do you like how do you contextualize it, and what do you feel about your own decision to engage with it, with the military?
So the biggest thing is I tell people I don't support the military industrial complex. I understand that there's like I see the big picture, and while I was in, I saw everything that was happening, and I don't even know how to contextualize and put that into words to explain that to anybody. But I'm not in a huge support of the direction things have gone, or like what we do with the military, or agree with it. But it's kind of the way the world is.
Right. You were a cog in the wheel.
I was a cog in the wheel. And the one thing I do say is, like, despite my lack of support for that, I have 100% support for the people that I served with and the just veterans in general, people who were just like me. I met so many people that were just like me, lost in like maybe a place where they didn't have like the best opportunities and were looking for an escape, looking for a route, looking for a different meaning of life or to see the world. And I didn't go to college because I wasn't ready to just start taking on debt for shit I didn't even want to didn't even know I wanted to do. It's like they're asking you, like, I'm like 17 in high school, and it's like you gotta get up, you gotta raise your hand and be like, hey, can I use the restroom? And then they want you to know, like, I can't just get up and go use the restroom. It's like, no, but they expect you to know everything, know what the hell you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, totally.
At that age.
I think that's very reasonable. And of course, you and Tony have that in common. You can kind of like share that.
He's on there.
Navy vet.
Navy vet. And we're both, Navy's it's a branch of the
They got the
Marine
ships.
Corps.
You guys got the men. They
there
got
are
the ships.
Uber.
Tell Tony he's a glorified Uber
always
driver.
do
That'd
tell
be dope.
him. He's never been on a ship.
I didn't know that.
I've been on a ship.
Wow.
You're just fucking around. I just like picking on Tony. It's fun.
Do you take a ship to get to Okinawa, or do you take a plane?
No, you take a plane. Actually, I took commercial. I've never flown
commercial, and then
I never flew military other than like one time. I was on a C-130 one time.
Yeah,
that's it. It was like a short flight, but just like an island hop.
Yep.
But never.
What was the boat?
The boats I was on?
Yeah.
I was on USNS Sacagawea. And I was also on the Westpac Express, and it looks like some James Bond shit. It was a high-speed vessel, and we took that to the Philippines to pick up some people. This is all declassified, so no worries.
Speaking of the Philippines, got a great little Filipino restaurant pop-up called Lolo's or Lola's.
Where is this?
Which is in the brand new, just opened Asian food mall, pop-up kind of center market, which is in the Strip. Just had brought my family back some jams. They got the lumpia, The lumpia was smacking with the shrimp and pork. My wife got that adobo chicken on top of some kind of rice, which was killer. I got
PDF.
some fucking ramen. Had some bubble fucking tea. Had some jasmine matcha fucking cream bubbles. Life's good, man.
Watch yourself. Match yourself.
Matcha man. So who else?
Oh, who else? Oh yeah, let me make sure I get through this list.
Yeah.
For sure I gotta give a shout out to Jarrett, Hoagie Dreams, baby.
Yes.
That dude. So just thankful for the opportunity that he had given me last year for the. I was like surprised. I didn't even think it was real. He asked me to do the Sunday disco.
Yes.
And I don't mean this in like a negative way, but to me it was like not from him. It's like this is no like I'm gonna get to a point. It's like felt like Make a Wish because it's like it's
yo.
It's like, oh man, it's like if I die and I don't even know it, like everybody else knows this. It's like,
Holy shit.
I was like, I mean, it was kind of the
best thing
cocktail
I've ever
hour, and like then bus crates and the adults went on and played. But I was like, and again, enough with the self-deprecation. Sorry, I'm yelling.
No, it's good.
I am so thankful for that opportunity, and what that told me was that he saw potential in me, and he appreciated the support I had for disco, which is my favorite disco Sunday disco, which I heard you on the last podcast saying like people just call it disco.
Yes.
And it is. It's like disco, that is my favorite. It's my favorite event in Pittsburgh.
It was little too crowded last one.
That's
a good problem to have, right? With jellyfish, and then
like,
the weather was
love.
smacking. Jellyfish was there, like it was gonna be fucking crowded, ass to elbows. I couldn't even walk in.
Love jellyfish.
Yep.
And everything that like love that energy, but I love the vinyl discos so much.
I see what you're saying. Yes. So
That's
there was more of a
that's right.
CDJ. It's more of a CDJ situation.
It's so the I think usually it kind of goes back and forth. Usually it's like a kind of a digital from my like perspective, what I recall or what I see, it seems like it's like kind of like digital 1 month, and then the next month it's more like vinyl based. I don't know if there's like ever like a medley of both of those, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
in my experience, and a lot of times I do like to go down, like I'll go down early and I just want to help set up, just to make shit smooth. I love that event so much, dude. I like love it.
Have you done any
Dude,
mixes?
I've done some mixes.
Where are they?
I don't put them out like that. My mixes are all recorded like on a phone right now. I don't have like an actual recording setup right yet.
You can record right here. We're about to. I'm about to record your shit. Your 6 records. You could have brought 60.
Just do a whole set?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe next time.
All right.
Next time whenever Tanner's talking, I'll be like, hey, man, I'm trying to do a set here. We'll get shout out to No Casino real quick.
Is he also on the list?
I know he is on the list.
Oh, good. He's the other one that I don't understand why he gets booked all the time.
I don't know. He's just like,
he'll be
no,
getting
because he's
at
up
the
their
Goldmark
ass
a lot.
He's like,
is that what it is? He
no,
no.
It's like,
the
no.
squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
It's like I'll be at work and it's like just right. It'd be like a Monday night. Be like, dude, come out to this. It's like, you should come out to this. And it's like, all right, yeah. And I'll come out and just check it out. And it's like the next day, he's like, dog, you should come out to this. Check this out. It's like, dog, when are you not? You go to sleep? Like,
but that's the
go
only
to
time
bed.
he ever hits me is strictly to send this simple ass promo on Instagram. In my Instagram chat, it's just like, hey, you should come out to this. I'm like, bro, you are the laziest fucking promoter. Like, just fucking text me in between shows one time, bro. Like, I'm not just a little bitch that you can just fucking. Anyway, I love you, bro. You're killing it, Tanner. I told him all these things.
I heard you guys are working with it. So,
dude, I'm about to play you the fucking song. Dude, I have
Yeah.
4 of the 6 done. 4 of the 6 tracks are done, and it's gonna be really dope when it's all done. Because I have my other buddy doing the scratches. So yeah.
Yeah, we lightly said it, but yeah, hella shout out to Anthony Susan, who you might hear here first. This dude might be our me and Michael's roommate. You heard that?
Oh God.
You heard this? Imagine those three. We can cut this if you need.
Pittsburgh will never be the same.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna knock shit over. That's gonna
That's
be
your
wild.
water.
That's gonna be wild. Oh, I forgot about it.
It's all good.
I just went straight to the gin.
It's mostly water. I mean, it's like 99% fucking water. So yeah, pretty
Like
Tony.
me.
75, yeah.
Close.
Yeah. And
You don't know what my percentage is.
you look pretty dried out. Yeah,
A little
stick
dry.
that tongue out. Peel that fucking peel that eyelid down. Let's see how dehydrated you are. Check for skin tenting.
I know. Wait, what is that? Oh, the tensions.
Skin turgor. Oh, yours is snapping right back.
Yeah, I'm young. I'm
Wow.
20. Not
Some
hey.
good skin right there.
2 days till my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
I just dropped
brother.
that. I'm gonna drop that one on there. Fuck it.
Amazing. Amazing. What are your plans? What are you doing?
Uh,
Spring is a great time to be born.
you
That's
know,
cool.
I love it. It's
Yeah. Our cherry tree just dropped all
Tourist
its
season.
leaves. It's like
wait
one
till
of my
you get.
favorite times of year.
Make sure you're at the next Sunday disco. There's gonna be a lot of bulls out there. It's gonna be the dancing of the bulls. Tourist season, baby. You wait. We got a whole thing planned.
Okay. That's what you're talking about for your birthday right now, or what do you?
Well, that's like a collective tour. That's all my brothers and sisters that are tourists. We stick together. We're bulls.
oh, Tauruses.
Tourists. I'm not into
I heard
astrology at all.
Tourist. I
No,
heard
see,
tourist.
everybody. See, actually, I had this
Tourist.
conversation with somebody. I have such weird accents of saying things, like swimming pool. I say swimming pool. It's a swimming pool.
I'm never.
Hey, yeah, the swim pool.
When I do the reel for this episode, it's just gonna be shit or get, shit or get, shit or get. Like I'm gonna turn it into a fucking.
I did say
club.
shit or get at one point in this.
I know it's so good. I'm gonna turn it into like a Be More Club
Shit
anthem.
or get. Shit or get.
That's so good, man. I never heard it that way. I always heard shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, I used to say that, but now it's just
Yeah.
like it's synonymous. You know that though. I mean,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
if it rhymes, it's so ill to
shit or
me.
get.
Get.
It's
shit or
quick.
get.
Shit or get. Shit or get. My guy.
I heard that one time, and I'll tell you the story separately. It was a really good one. It was something like you're either involved in this activity or you're getting the fuck out. We told one of my homies is like, you got to keep it moving. But I'm not ready to tell that story right now.
Oh, so
Who else are you shouting out?
I think one more last shout out to Joey Vesley, he's one of the people I was is DJ Subtle Task. Heard him?
Subtle Task?
He actually did the New Year's Eve event with Dave Clever.
Oh,
He
cool.
opened it.
Shout out Clever. CLEVR for those who are Googling.
Hell yeah. Yeah, actually shout out to him too. Dave's the man. He's fun. And oh my god.
Much more electronic, like house.
Yeah.
Kind of like
I'm
Tony, I think.
I'm getting into a little more house, and that's where I guess my soundscape with the Japanese sort of like stuff is getting into like not vaporwave per se, but I call it like vapor house. Things that have these kind of like video game or like 90s like off tone
Yes.
sorts of like key sounds like that just create this like false nostalgia, if you will.
Do you like Kandinsky?
I'm not sure
Or
who that is.
Kavinsky? Which one is it?
Kavinsky.
The
That
one
sounds.
with the race
know.
car? Night Call?
Oh yeah, I know who
You
you're
know that
talking
shit?
about. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's like a bluish out. I mean, it's dark. It's like
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Night Call.
Yeah.
It's
That's like that.
that's actually probably some of the first stuff that I had heard that was kind of in that like vapory kind of like 80s synth
Yep.
realm
Yep.
of like that sort of sound.
Justice kind of has
Yeah,
something of that. What else?
I've been listening to this one artist in particular, Space Ghost, and I brought one of their records because it is like every album I've heard so far. I think he's like pretty recent, like probably like latest or earliest release is like maybe like 2017 that I've seen.
Is it Space Ghost Perp?
No, just Space Ghost.
There's a Space Ghost Perp that I know.
This one, I'll just pull it up real quick.
Oh, cool.
You want to throw it on?
Yeah, why not?
Fuck it.
Let's go. We're
I
ready.
pretty much through my list of things, but actually,
that's all I wanted to talk about.
One last shout out to one other person, Shane Compton, owner of Creative Coffee and Supply. They've been kind of going through some shit right now. I think it's like a discriminatory sort of like situation. I don't know what all I can really talk about on it, but I want to say that he's done so much for like the homeless community. So Creative Coffee and Supply is like where I really started DJing publicly. He was my best friend in high school. The only person who would have like listened to anything I listened to in high school and shared ideas with. And he opened this coffee shop downtown at 3rd and Smithfield, and it was called, he bought it over, I mean, he didn't start it, he bought it off a venture capitalist that didn't really know shit about coffee, didn't really care about it, was just kind of there for the money and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he bought it off of him, offered his space. He was a big fan of city pop, funk, that sort of stuff like me, because we both were always sharing our musical influences together. How you doing? This gin, you got a little more of this? Anyways, so recently they've been on, the coffee shop has been on a hiatus, but he was the person who offered me his space to DJ, and it was, not paid. It was just this way to fake it till you make it, if you will. Yes. Kind of like build a resume, be like, I'm out here DJing publicly, and I want to do this, and getting my, doing it, just being out there doing it. I don't care if I make money. Dope. I want to share my record collection.
Highly recommend that for everyone if you're trying to get started. Is just take it, just take every gig.
Yeah,
if you really want to be a DJ.
If you have a friend, honestly, that was the biggest help, because it was like I had a residency immediately from a friend. It was a friend who was into the music I played. I could do coffee shop. I could bump it up a little bit more, but people were there really to just grab coffee, and there's a lot of foot traffic in and out. Nobody really was there necessarily for that, other than some friends that knew about it. But it was instrumental in launching myself to where I am now. So and cool. Recently he's run into some issues with the leaseholders. He's again done like a lot of stuff for the homeless community. He's allowed people into his shop that other people would like scare away just because, oh, you're homeless or you're like bad for business. He invites them in, gives coffee. There's people who just want a bus fare, who have like swept the floor, and he's like giving tips out of the tip jar just so they can get a bus fare. He is the salt of the earth, like great human being, and has been going through an issue with that area of town and like bigger dogs barking about what he's doing with his space. And I want to at least put that out there.
Cool.
In some way, because
we need more compassion. Yeah,
and
we need a lot more compassion.
And he would know these. I mean, he knows these people. They're people. The people that are like that are shutting this down, to me, feel less of people than anybody who's in a situation that's homeless. He's seen people go from those situations to a point where they've been able to turn their life around and get a job. He's seen people who have been stuck in this perpetual loop, but he's been able to help and like still provide some sort of like uplifting like positivity in their life that keeps them going and makes them have a safe place to maybe go whenever they're in these dire situations. And it's being pulled away. Wow. And it really affects me, because it's the place where I started, and I'm 100% in support of him, and need to give a shout out to that.
Yeah, shout out. Say the name of the business again.
Creative Coffee and Supply.
Dope. Shout out Creative Coffee.
Owner is Shane Compton, and like I said, he's going through just kind of legal things with the leaseholders and like things that they don't like, where they've changed the locks because it's I don't know all the details. And I don't know what I can talk about.
Right. So. There's a amazing woman in South Florida, near where I went to medical school, I was still DJing a bit, and she gave me some bookings when I was down there. But the reason it connects is she has a bakery and coffee shop called Tartastic, Tartastic, and she would hire ex-cons, people that couldn't be hired anywhere else in Florida. She would hire people with mental disabilities, people with physical disabilities. She would hire them to do anything they could, even if it was, like you said, just sweeping the floor, even if it was taking out the trash, whatever. Like, she would give people a shot. And I thought it was really cool to see people with, she didn't care what your background was. She would just look you in the eye, and if you seemed like you needed help or were willing to contribute, like,
Right.
she would put you in. So I thought that was really cool.
I think that's impressive. I think it's something that almost gets looked down upon. Well, obviously, in some cases, and it's like I just can't fathom or understand why
Yeah.
this happens or why that sort of thing is, other than somebody just having blatant discrimination of group of people. One thing that Anthony actually showed me was like him beat matching, kind of without headphones, like just peeking in for a second,
Yes.
and like sliding the fader down and sliding it back up, and kind of right on the beat with the one that you know.
Yes.
And you kind of hear one's out of step, adjust if you need. You can kind of do it over the loudspeakers. You get them if they're close enough. It's like you don't have to.
There's a perfect
don't know how to do
analogy
it.
between the visual system and the auditory system, because when you're driving, you make a comparison between the relative sizes over time of your car and another car, and you can determine within a fraction of a second how fast it's traveling and whether or not it's going to come into your zone where you're turning in.
Right.
You only need a split second to make that determination. Just like somebody who's about to hit a fastball, when it comes out of the pitcher's hand, they really only have 0.1, 0.2 seconds to determine the speed that that pitch is traveling and to determine if it's a fastball or a changeup or a curve. And that's the exact same thing with the auditory system. You can detect exactly how out of tempo those two records are within a tiny fraction of a second as you continue to hone that skill. And it takes less and less time. If you practice it, you can hear the two records out of phase by a very, very small amount, and it doesn't take long. And then, similarly, you'll learn how much to move the pitch adjust, right? So the pitch adjust is a tool, and you'll be adjusting it by the correct amount more often than not as you get better and better at learning the differences between the two records. You won't over adjust it, over correct it as much.
I play myself on hard mode, where I have one turntable. They're both Audio Technicas. I don't have Technics right now because I'm a cheap ass. That's all I could afford at the time.
Sure.
But they do the job. But I have one that goes from anywhere from 8% to 16%.
Yes.
Plus or minus, and one that's 10 plus
That's
or minus.
Tricky, man. That's super tricky.
No, but it makes me just listen.
Yes. Makes you better.
I can't just look at. I forget which turntable's which. It's like, fuck, how much percentage do I have here? How much? I can't even think about it. I'm only listening and knowing, oh yeah, this one's more sensitive, or like, oh, this is the one with the double range, and like play around with that. So it's like I'm really throwing myself in hard mode, and it's all feel in that sense.
Yeah.
And it's helped me grow. I think just throwing these challenges at myself. Like I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't think that there's my plan is to go to digital soon. I want to start experimenting and learning digital stuff and opening my avenues, opening opportunities, way more sustainable. Credit. I won't need Chase Bank as much.
Do you have MP3s?
I get them. Dog, we started with Napster back in the day. That's not. You can ask my dad and my brother about that one.
So you have a bit of a collection, but
a little bit, but most of it's like also shit that I have on vinyl.
Yeah,
I don't want to be burning it up, but I can just record it. I'm gonna listen to those records.
Yes.
So digitalize it, cut it up into tracks, or even just leave it as like long play format, and I could maybe even use DVS on some things. To where it doesn't even matter. I just can move it just like a record. But I don't want to be. I'm trying to think of a more sustainable, long-term way of doing my hobby, and always gonna buy records, always gonna do vinyl sets.
Yeah.
Like I don't see that like that's a huge part of who I am
Do
and
you
the things
guys
I love.
feel like it gets stale bringing the same records out over and over to the parties?
It's
You're like,
challenging. It's really challenging, and that's like a big part of it. And like I said, the sustain like I wasn't. That's why I owe so much money. I wasn't bringing the same records. I had like almost a new fucking bag, or at least a new set of tracks where it was fresh enough every single time,
wow.
every month for that year, pretty much that year.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
And 90%
I got-
Discogs, like 10% Attic or something like that.
About, yeah,
Wow.
probably.
Yeah, that sounds really
Or
expensive.
attic plus whatever. And it was all things that it was like, this was a big motivator and something I was gonna probably do kind of anyways.
Yeah.
Things that I wanted. But I was actually talking with Jarrett the other day. We were just like texting back and forth on Instagram or whatever, like sending messages, and like I told like we were both talking about how much money we spent on records in a year, and I was like, dude, this year I'm focusing on mixing only, taking this, and he's like, dude, that's it. He's like, what, you got a good base? Once you got a good base of the things that you want to spin, the soundscape that you're trying to build, then you're just adding on top of that.
Yeah,
but
filling in little layers.
But being that it was like my first full time where I had a residency every month, I had to come up and show, like, perform.
Nice.
So being that was my first year doing that, I dropped a lot of money on that.
You're talking about like $5 for each record, and you said you have a new bag each month, so you're like
at least
50 times 5, so $250 per show.
I had a lot of
but
stuff.
But then the shipping and handling must be just killer.
Absurd.
You're not getting like 20 records from one person. You're getting one here, one there, one here.
So the way I would do it is I'd have a lot of stuff in my Discogs, like watch list, and have to kind of play the economy of it. And like it was time consuming, but I would look at each record store that was on Discogs, like go down there, go and look at their store and see what they had to offer. If they had anything if they had 2 things on my watch list, automatics, like I'm making a purchase off this person. But I tried to always make sure I was at least, not in every case. There's some times where it's like, I just have to have this record. I don't care. But there's a lot of times where I really was like, I can't justify spending $15 for shipping from Japan, getting just one record that's $20.
So a lot of them are in Japan, or a lot of them in the States?
Like, initially, I was buying a lot from Japan if I couldn't find it from the States, but regardless, there's an input. If you're buying it from the United States, you basically might as well just buy it from Japan, because a lot of times, unless you get lucky, like, they just add that import fee right to the record.
Okay.
If it's already been imported, they're going to just tack it on.
Wow.
Pretty much. Like, it would be like the same record I could see in Japan, it'd be like $20, but it's like $15 shipping. In the US, it'd be like, $45 or $50, and it's like free shipping, or like $2 shipping. It's like, motherfuckers,
they already paid.
They're right on top.
That's wild.
They're like, they know. They know. They look at everybody else who's posted, and they determine what the price is from there.
Where do you build out the watch list? So, is it YouTube?
Mostly,
and then
mostly YouTube and like some deep cut. I'll think.
Are there certain channels?
I bet. Let's do it over here.
Are there certain channels like that you can shout out that have inspired the?
Oh, absolutely. My Analog Journal was right before COVID hit. I started following. Actually, there was I believe I had maybe seen or heard of the channel while I was in the service, right? Like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really following it. I think I had like saw it in passing. I was like, oh, this is cool. But I remember COVID hit, and I was hitting up some like old boys from the service, being like, hey, dude, we're all like living. It's like it feels like we're in the military. Everybody's telling us what to do. It's like you're not allowed to go out. It's like we're on liberty restriction. Like somebody fucked up
How often were you usually getting out on the weekends? Was it like
every weekend.
Saturday, Sunday was your own time?
We're singing karaoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you had duty, which everybody would stand like 24-hour duties or like stand at a gate guard and like check IDs. It's like we all shared that burden, but it was you just put on like a list, like a schedule. And if you were off that weekend, everybody's getting fucked up. Unless you're like one of those straight edge guys. It's like, dude, if you're in the military and you're straight edge, this guy's a lifer. This guy's gonna
trying to get a general, like trying to get a promotion or something, like going for colonel. Both of my mom's brothers who are in the Marines are both full colonels, and one was
full
being
bird.
Yeah, one was being groomed
That's
for
awesome. That's
general role. I got to go to
admirable.
They both flew presidents in HMX-1. So one flew Bush and Clinton. The other one just flew Clinton, as far as I know. And one trained choppers. One taught at VMI, which was like where I went and saw the museum of the Marine Corps, where
That's
they have
awesome.
Old Sorrel. Do you know who Old Sorrel is?
Old Sorrel?
Yeah.
No.
Old Sorrel is General Robert E. Lee's horse.
Oh, Robert E. Lee. I didn't know that was his horse.
His stuffed horse.
Robert
is
E.
at the
Lee
Museum of the Marine Corps.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Old Sorrel. And yeah, that was an interesting experience. What else? There's so many, but there was one where I went to like the party where he was getting his commission, where he had like been promoted.
Yeah.
To colonel, and the general was there, and like everybody was there. And at the dance, I took the mic and I rapped over Missy Elliott's "Work It," and I had like a whole rap worked out.
Yeah,
it was pretty killer. People were impressed. It's an amazing beat. You can't fuck that beat. Like, you're gonna win if you rap over the "Work It" beat. It's Timbaland, I'm sure, right? It's like
probably. I don't fucking know. You know better than I do.
Yeah, I think so. They're all from Hampton Roads, that one area of Virginia where there's just so much musical talent. All comes from down there. We don't know. There's something about the water down there. I don't know.
Get the neurologists are at it though. They're trying to figure it out. We don't know.
Why
trust me, we're on it. We have no idea.
Just like bottling water and shipping it.
Yeah, I see. Like you looking in a microscope. Like fuck, we can't fit this. I see montage music.
There's probably people who've studied it, like who know, have studied it. There's probably like some kind of musical heritage, whether it's jazz or R&B or soul music, like and venues and like legends in that area that have passed that knowledge down. I don't know. Want to play some records?
Yeah, let's play some records.
All right, let's do it.
Let's start with one that was like early inspiration for me. One that my dad actually picked up this CD while we were on a road trip, and it was a little more somber, darker in the sense of like it was the passing of a cousin of mine. We had a huge family. It was a passing of a cousin on my mother's side of the family. He was much older than me. I had limited interactions with him, but it was just this somber. It was like the first time this had happened. Like this, nothing else like this had happened in our family before, and it was a heavy thing. And we were on a road trip down to Virginia well, I say road trip. Woo! We were on the trip to Virginia for the passing, for the wake of my the funeral for my cousin.
Yeah.
And my dad was we stopped at FYE, which was like, I don't think
for your entertainment. That's where you get the CDs back in the day.
Back in the day, we stopped at the mall at like before we got on like the interstate, getting ready to head down the road, and this was in Altoona. I think Altoona.
I love the Lips, man. I've seen them a couple times. One of my favorite bands.
My dad remembered She Don't Use Jelly from like the 90s. He's like, oh, that was a goofy song. Like, let's see what they got. Like, see what this is. This looks fun and goofy.
Incredible.
And like,
what
obviously,
an album cover.
If this doesn't also tell you like some of my Japanese inspiration. Like since as a kid, I was fascinated by it a lot just by this album and the Flaming Lips, like Wayne Coyne's
Wow.
influence
Wow.
with this album.
Wow.
So we picked this up and we're riding down the road, and I remember this being one of the most impactful albums to me, musically, as far as like holy, like thinking as a kid in the backseat, like holy shit. I remember my mom hated it. She hated it. She's like, what the hell? Like she couldn't, like, she had no idea. Oh, do you want? Oh, here we go.
Incredible. Yeah, I remember seeing them. I guess I must have seen them at Bonnaroo for the first time.
Dude, anytime they're around.
I remember him coming out in the hamster ball, like that giant fucking plastic ball, and walking over the crowd.
And he's done shows then now too with COVID. He made the opportunity. My cousin went to one.
Because he's in the ball, he can keep doing the shows.
Well, everybody else, no, he did shows where everybody was in. You paid for a ticket, and you basically bought or leased a bubble. Jesus. And they would have people go around, get you drinks.
They also had like all their gear spray painted orange. I don't know if that's from that. See how the album cover is all orange and everything? Yeah. Like they had all their gear was spray painted orange.
What year did you see that? I'm sorry.
I think a couple. No, you're good. I think a couple times. I'm trying to remember the years, like 2013 and 15 or something.
Did you see them console with black keys?
Ooh. I've seen the Keys a couple times too. You know, that's like Midwest shit, so.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, because I remember they opened for the Black Keys at the Console Energy Center here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think so. I haven't seen a lot of. There's like definitely some shows in Pittsburgh, but not a lot.
You might have been like school down south or something at that time. 2013 time frame.
Yeah, 2011 through 13, I was in New York City.
Oh, okay.
And I was doing the croc mode thing out in New York.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's when
you made that whole scam with croc mode.
Wait. What's that story? What story?
I'm just fucking around.
Oh, you're talking about with the interns? That was.
That was kind of a scam,
that
right?
Was a bit of a scam, definitely, absolutely, because I got scammed as an intern,
and you're like, "This is
and I was
great.
Like, I want
brilliant
interns."
You're like, "Man, capitalism rules." When you see the other side of the coin, you're like, "This kind of rules."
People were just fucking with me for a whole summer, like pretending they were going to hook me up and start booking me at these EDM shows. And I had to like do all this all this fucking grunt work for them. They're a company called Mr. Bugsley. And like when you peel back the layers, it's just like the fucking Wizard of Oz. Like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It's just a dude that's forcing you to do the work that he doesn't want to do. And I was like, I could be the wizard.
Like, that's easy. You're like, fuck, man. It's like this guy. Oh, this guy just actually inspired you. He's like, he thought he had you. Oh, actually, one other thing before you put that on.
Yeah.
Tell me about these frat parties in Pittsburgh.
Oof. There was a lot. I mean, I came up, I cut my teeth DJing frat parties in Pittsburgh. So I would DJ first. I learned how to DJ at ZBT from Bonix, and I was playing every party for like 4 years at ZBT. But then the other frats started hiring me, so I would play at AE Pi, and I would play at SAE, and I played at Sigma Chi. Ligma nuts. I played them all. If you had $200, I'd be at your show. Like I would do 4 hours for $200. Like that was my thing. $50 an hour, no problem. Like no questions asked. I'll show up. I'll bring my turntables. I'll come out, and like then I started. I had a lot of residencies in Pittsburgh. I had 5801. I used to live in the basement of 5801, and I played there like Friday, Saturday night, and that was my rent. And then the other 6 nights was all cash in my pocket, $400. Awesome. So that's $2,400. $2,400.
That goes a long way back then.
Exactly, and it would open up. Yeah, exactly. So that was. I mean, the ZBT parties were. Young, but we had themes, which I was impressed with. The reason I had joined was there was a kid named Cody Harding who is still to this day like a super interesting guy. He became a lawyer, and he was like really dedicated to making parties smack. And he taught me a lot about how to throw parties. And one of the things he said was every good party has all 3 elements. It has a theme, which incorporates a musical style, decorations, and dress. And if you don't have a theme that involves all three things, and you're not doing all three things, where the music is adjusting to the theme of the party, the decorations are adjusting to the theme of the party, and the way people are dressed are adjusting to the theme, it's not really a theme. It has to be all three. And I thought that was dope. And like every time we would do something, whether it was 80s rock or whether we were doing the lawn party where we put all turf throughout the entire house, or whether we were doing ZB Tahiti where we did sand inside the entire house and out front, and we're booking bands, and like I was doing I did a lot of like big shows. For example, I did the programming for the entire 24-hour dance marathon at Pitt.
Oh,
and so I booked every DJ in Pittsburgh because I had 24 hours. Like I had to fill it with DJs. And then I had like, ZB Tahiti was almost 12 hours of entertainment. So I was just booking. And that's how people started putting me in places, because I was booking a lot of DJs. And so they wanted to like pay it forward and pay it back.
Nice.
And I had a lot of fun DJing in Pittsburgh. It was a hell of a time. I also had a 9 to 5, like the whole time.
That's
pretty
the way
much.
To do it, dude. I think don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's my advice to people. Always have a plan A, a B, and a C. And even if you do put a lot of your eggs in one basket, just have a fucking plan. Be ready to go. You gotta be adaptable.
The eggs in a basket metaphor is so interesting now because my parents have chickens. It's an actual basket that my son takes down to the coops to go rescue and harvest the eggs. And so it's literally a basket with like a paper towel in it. And he goes and grabs the eggs and puts them in the basket. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, buddy.
All right, what are we listening to?
Oh, yeah, let's throw on a record. Okay, so we're going to be listening to... Let's listen to... It's Yoshimi Battles of Pink Robots. I don't know which song to play, though. I like... All We Have Is Now. That's a good one. It's true, though, too.
As logic stands, you couldn't meet a man who's from the future. But logic broke as he appeared. He spoke about the future. We're not gonna make it. He explained how the ends will come. You and me were never meant to be part of the future. All we have is now. All we've ever had is now. All we have.
I used to have 2 copies. I gave one away.
Where are they from?
They're from Oklahoma.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, you know where Wayne Coyne's from? He was born in Pittsburgh. Wayne Coyne was born in Pittsburgh. You can add that one.
Pittsburgh punches so far above its weight. That's from Kari Mosley.
So it's like I have an extra connection with them, and I think that's also why it's like they almost never skip Pittsburgh.
That is cool.
They are always. I've seen this Flaming Lips probably 6 times. I'm seeing them this year. You should go. It's gonna be at Stage AE. That's actually the first place I saw them. But again, I remember hearing this. I was in like probably 4th, maybe like fourth or fifth grade, and just being taken away on this musical journey by the Flamethrower. And it was just like, I was like, oh my God, this is music. I was like, I didn't realize. Like hearing an album front to back and hearing an experience going on the journey was magical at that age. I recommend this album to anybody. Change. This is that record that was playing at Michael's house, Michael Palladini, when I met him for the second time, I guess, technically. I don't know if I actually met him at the first party. It was that time that we went to the after party at his house, and this was on the turntable. Just raw, funky, and I was like, this is the shit I'm looking for. And he was just playing it. This is probably one of the best albums.
Where he got his copy.
I don't even give a fuck. Party all night long. It felt like the universe came together. And you never know when to stop. It was that expectation versus reality. It was way exceeded. Hang on. What I was expecting. What's the say now? Somebody else who was just into vinyl as much into vinyl as me. Hang on. It was beautiful. I love it. Hang on. Instant best friend. It's like, did we just become best friends? Like, this stepbrothers. Everybody's watching out. Everybody's watching out for a brand new love. And everybody's true with the thing you do. I won't catch no fooling. 'Cause my darling, you party all night long. It's true about the thing you do. And you never know when to stop. Hang on, y'all. Hang on. What you say now? Hang on. Hang on, baby. Hang on.
You want to be able to hear this one?
Hang on. Yeah. You got the funky love. See, my darling, you party all night long. It's true. But what thing you do, and you never know when to stop. Hang on. What you say now? Hang on. Hang on.
You don't have to DJ. You can do like a Dante's Hi-Fi where you like introduce.
When your mind is in a trance, time to make your body last night dancer. All the ladies start scream, you know just what they see, night dancer.
This is the first record that I bought in Okinawa that was like changed my life. Later, whenever I revisit it, at first it did nothing for me. I don't know why. It was just like the place I was in life or whatever. Herbie Hancock. I have another album, Kimiko Kasai, that Herbie Hancock did. He did like some reworks of like Butterfly. You're familiar with that track by Herbie? The album's called Butterfly that he did with her, and it's highly recommended.
This is so smooth.
Actually, this is the original sleeve thing then too that I bought it in. This was in Japan at Manga Soka's. This was their code thing, like their little protective security stuff. Yeah, so you could be like just robbing it. This one ran me like $15, but I just loved it. I was like, Tokyo Special. It just caught my eye, and it was one of the best rando purchases I probably ever bought.
She's sexy. Show that back picture.
Oh, she's sexy. Actually,
With the decolletage. Oh, you got more inside.
I'm trying to look. Nah, there's not on this one.
Alright.
Other ones. I should have brought Henri. She's... Hey.
That'll do it for you when you're stationed with a bunch of dudes in the middle of fucking...
Heck yeah. You saying she's not sexy?
No, bro. Definitely. They all have that little like sax kind of breakdown.
Isn't that great? That's what I love about city pop, funk, like from Japan at this era. More so, I use city pop, I think, more so for like the buzzword. Like people, but I think people are expecting me to be playing like Plastic Love and shit a lot or something, but it's like I'm more in this like deeper, earlier funk realm. Japanese pop. This stuff this is that give you chills in the bones sort of So this is, if you're familiar with Toro y Moi, this is Les Sins, his side project.
Oh, cool.
I don't remember when this was released, maybe like 2014-ish, but Toro y Moi was one of those artists that was an inspiration from the time I was in high school, and probably is another reason why I'm into DJing. I remember watching videos in high school of him like doing art, making music, doing DJ events, and being into skateboarding like I was at one point in my life, and just doing it for him, doing it for this artistic, funk-based, like funky, wonky sorts of sounds that aren't afraid to like change key and tone mid note, like.
Oh yeah, he's incredible. I think he's a Charleston guy, kind of like Beeple.
He is. He's from
Charleston,
and you went to
South
school in
Carolina.
South Carolina, right?
I did my residency down there, and I saw Krangbin, and he opened for them in Charleston.
Oh my God, that was recent, right?
Yeah.
In the last couple years.
Yep. Yeah.
Last 2 years
Amazing
ago.
show.
He's
Laura
one of my
Leeson, man.
favorite artists of all time.
Wow.
This is from this album. I have
It reminds me of the Quasimodo logo.
and the funny thing is then too, my roommate, the name of the album is Michael.
Yeah.
So this is my Mike. I always tell people, yeah, I got a Michael tattoo. No, they think
It reminds me of the Quasimodo
everybody thinks
guy.
we're like fucking like in love with each other or something. I don't know.
You are.
What's that?
You are. Quasimodo.
Quasimodo.
Yeah. Character here. Rapper. This guy.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. Right? That's who it reminds me of.
It does. I can see that for sure. And this is an album and an artist that has hit me just like Toro, like Chaz Bundick, aka Chaz Bear, whatever you want to call him these days.
Wow.
Has hit me in the similar sense that I haven't felt in years. Space Ghost, who I mentioned earlier on the podcast. This album's like 50 minutes
Yeah, dude,
too.
you gotta
It's like,
start playing shit like this.
this is what I've been. So this is the soundscape I'm trying to mix. Is like kind of this vapory, deep house with this syncopated beats. It feels like when I was a kid playing like video games and these obscure like menu songs that like nobody, like only kids that were there were like experiencing, and it's like it's beautiful.
Escape from
Can
New
we
York.
turn this one just up a little more? What,
Yeah, bro.
what is that? The main? What's that?
Yeah, that's the man.
I just love this.
Amazing.
These contrasting beats that again syncopate and then like kind of like overlap and then eventually line up. This is the song. This is a song I listen to almost every day.
Yes.
Just because it hits this nerve or hits something in me that's like, it's like, that's my SSRI. It's way better. This hits a nerve in my brain that just makes me feel so good. And I think it's that overlap of beats that just synchronize in all the right places. Thanks again for having me on here, dude. I also want to say I really appreciate what you're doing with this whole podcast. I think it's, I don't know if people are sleeping on it.
It's been a hell of a lot of fun, man.
But I think this is going to be a year of growth you're doing is commendable, and it's like giving other people access to these DJs that they might go out and see and know nothing about, get to see their life, their side of.
Bro, I've
of
been
the hill.
connecting people on it, man.
I think that this is the best thing because my goal as a DJ is that I don't like gatekeeping. Get rid of gatekeeping.
Yeah,
I want
pass
us all to like. I don't own any of this music. I mean, I own it all.
You
but
can
I
tell
didn't-
right
I
away,
didn't- I
right?
didn't make
When
it.
people are in it for the wrong reasons. It's so
Yeah.
easy. It's like they're wearing it like a tattoo on their face. You show up at the gig and it's just like, what is going on right now? And I can tell. I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, if I wanted to do a DJ festival in Pittsburgh, I would just book the people that have the most views on my podcast. I would book like the top 5 because they're the people who actually have friends who give a fuck. Who sent the link to their friends or
Right.
whatever. But like either way, those are the people that are going to have people show up. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, it's building a network, and the stories make it worth it, just like life. It's
Yeah.
about stories for me. Always has been. That's why I love hip hop. It's telling stories.
I'd like to
country
go
music.
into more on that too, and like learn more from you about hip hop because I don't know that much about it. So
It's
like, you
country
should
music
definitely.
for black people. Fucking stories, bro. Great
It's
fucking
called-
stories.
I get it because like I don't even like I don't even like country music. So the country music for white people, it's like I don't know where I belong. It's like-
Wabi Sabi. Get familiar, folks. Really, really has been a
Wait.
lot of fun.
bedazzled his phone up so you see him, and you get blinded by the sunlight. It's my fault.
I love coming to shows and seeing you and the conversations. Super fun. What
Thank
can you tell
dude.
people?
Thank you again.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear what Wabi Sabi is on the podcast. I know
Oh,
you
what-
and I have talked about it a lot, but like why you chose that name and kind of like what it means.
Excellent. So Wabi Sabi is kind of a Japanese lifestyle. It is the meaning of Wabi Sabi is this beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompletion of everything. Everything serves a purpose. Everything has a life. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a life, and it's not so much focusing on the things that make us different in a negative way or that make us imperfect. It's looking at those things and realizing why that makes us like special and good for perspective and for the world, and understanding that it's all just a element of time passing. Like everything wears out. Everybody's gonna die. Not to get too dark, but and existential. But it's like we talked about that a little bit earlier,
Yeah,
right?
man,
Right
Memento
on,
Mori.
right when the podcast started. It was like,
Oh yeah, sand on a
it's like-
beach, man. Grains of sand on a
Um,
beach.
and not looking at it in a negative existential like light, looking at it in a positive like beautiful light, appreciating it, loving it, and being part of that moment. So that's what it really meant to me, and what it really means to me, and obviously the Japanese influence. When I had learned about that, it was just I loved it because I loved asymmetrical things. There's this beauty in things that just are not perfect, and it's like it's almost like a counterculture.
I saw
of
these
Japan.
little tea drinking vessels on Google Images. When you search Wabi Sabi, they'll show you these like little tea drinking vessels that one side is like a little bit higher than the other.
Right.
It's so dope to me.
But it does the job, right? It's like that's the big thing about Wabi Sabi is like things serve a purpose. They have character. And I think that's the biggest thing is the character of it. It's like anybody can just make something just perfect. Anybody can measure, just make something perfect. But giving something practicality, giving something a unique, its own unique characteristics, and it's still being functional and being something that's like sought after or like loved and appreciated
Yes.
for its purpose
Yes.
is like what it's all about. It's a counterculture to just perfection of
Maybe
it
that's
doesn't need to be because it's perfect as it is.
maybe like the Dilla sound also, right? It's like how JD would
JD.
move the move the beats, move the kicks and the snares off
and
of that grid in order to create a sound
syncopation. That's what
that was new, and that it birthed that whole neo soul movement. And Far Side came and rocked in Pittsburgh, but like I wanted to hear Dilla, man. I was like, that's their sound to me. It's just that's
Right.
the ghost of JD. So
I think it's beautiful, and I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that's a big reason why I also love vinyl. Vinyl's imperfect, impermanent. Every copy, I know it's my copy because it'll like skip or have a pop, pop, pop.
your pops.
I know where it's like, oh, that's my record. Like I would be able to tell my copy of Toru Imoa Underneath the Pine versus Michael's.
Yes.
Michael's is so beat to shit, and mine's like pretty good still. So it's like no different. Be like, dog, you got my copy. I can tell.
It's the difference between your personalities, or just the difference between how much you guys are playing out, or
Well, probably that was his first record ever, which I'm sure he
Yeah.
told you on the podcast. That was one of my
Yeah.
first, but also it's like
so cool.
I used to be like really like
More
particular.
anal.
Now
about-
I'm just
yeah.
like tossing records. They're like
Stacks of
stacking on
wax,
top of each
stacks
other.
of wax, man. Amen.
But,
Well, cheers, brother.
dude,
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks again, dude. I really
right.
appreciate what you do.
Run it back.
Everything.